Chapter 173. Ren Pengfei did not expect Qin Yu to hit him in public. His heart was filled with fear. At this moment, the eyes of the person who was secretly leaning against the door widened. Qin Yu actually hit someone for Bei Yunj. Wasn't this brother too godly? F***ck. What kind of godly brother did Bei Yunj get? Qin Yu actually hit Ren Pengfei for Bei Yunj just now. With such a brother, what is Bei Yunj thinking? Does she like Ren Pengfei? Qin Yu is really unlucky to have Bei Yunj. Compared to Qin Youjiao, Bei Yunj is useless. Someone could not help but mock. The discussion at the door did not stop. At this moment, a chuckle was especially eye-catching in the quiet office. Bei Yunj walked in front of Ren Pengfei and smirked. Don't you think you're very stupid for being so reckless? You! Ren Pengfei felt inexplicably flustered under Bei Yunj's gaze. However, after regaining his senses, he said maliciously, Bei Yunj, are you afraid because you don't dare to admit it? Bei Yunj could not be bothered to look up. We've known each other since year 1. Oh, so you still dare to admit it. Ren Pengfei was also scheming in his heart. Now that Bei Yunj was the young lady of the Qin family, her status had risen. If he could make the Qin family acknowledge his relationship with Bei Yunj, then he would be considered to have climbed up the ranks of a wealthy family. A strange glint flashed past Ren Pengfei's eyes. However, in the eyes of Xiaofan, her expression darkened and her hands clenched into fists. Ever since I transferred to Class 7, you can't take your eyes off me? Bei Yunj suddenly repeated what he had said in the letter slowly. She smirked. Really? The moment she finished speaking, Ren Pengfei's expression froze and a trace of panic flashed past his eyes. Although we used to be schoolmates, we didn't know each other. I only noticed you after you transferred to another school. Ren Pengfei was still feeling smug, thinking that his words were watertight, but when Xiaofan and Aya heard this, their faces turned pale. I see. Bei Yunj laughed ambiguously and glanced at the dean calmly. Dean, did you hear that clearly? After the dean regained his senses, his expression turned ugly. Xiaofan, Ren Pengfei, are the three of you treating me like a monkey? Just now, these two people had said that Bei Yunj was pursuing Ren Pengfei. In Ren Pengfei's words, he and Bei Yunj had become strangers again before she transferred schools. After Ren Pengfei was yelled at, he was still at a loss. Aya panicked. Director, this. Ren Pengfei said it himself. Do you have proof? Suddenly, Lu Yuanxi sneered. Aya panicked. Suddenly, Xiaofan said calmly, Director, even if there are different versions of this matter, it doesn't mean that Bei Yunj was wrongly accused. The dean's face darkened as he glanced at Xiaofan. He still didn't want to believe that a good student would frame someone else. I don't think what Xiaofan said. It didn't make sense. Director, it's not time for you to retire yet, right? Bei Yunj asked casually. Hearing this, the dean's face almost twisted. What did she mean? Did she say that he was senile? Bei Yunj, as a student, you. Before the dean could finish speaking, the door was suddenly pushed open. Chapter 174. Master Du. Qin Yu was stunned for a moment. He did not expect Hua Shidu to come. Why was he here? At this moment, everyone's eyes landed on him and they could not regain their senses. She looked at the man's handsome and superior face, his well-tailored suit, and his light gaze, with an inexplicable aggressiveness and an innate sense of oppression. Come here. Hua Shidu's low and pleasant voice sounded carelessly. After that, when everyone was in a daze, Bei Yunj went forward and grabbed the hand of the cold and dignified man in front of her. Her eyes curved. Why is brother here? With that said, suddenly Qin Yu froze. He suddenly realized that Gur had not called him second brother for a long time. Hua Shidu's thin eyelids lifted and his gaze landed on her indifferently. He stretched out his hand lazily and pinched her cheek punishingly. Are you causing trouble again? The man's voice was clearly lazy and indifferent, but for some reason, one could hear the indulgence and casualness in it. I'm not. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, the dean said cautiously, Sir, are you from the Qin family too? My surname is Hua. Hua Shidu's tone was slow and unhurried. His cold and distant appearance inexplicably made people even more nervous. However, at the same time, He allowed the little girl beside him to lower her head and play with his slender hand. The sudden sense of indulgence made people feel that the air in the office had become sweet. Was this still a student's parent? Those who did not know better would think that he was a student's puppy love. At this moment, Lu Yuanxi was also staring at the man not far away and felt frustrated. He had seen this man once. So at the same time, he knew the difference between him and this man. Mr. Hua. Although the dean did not know the identity of the person in front of him, from Qin Yu's attitude towards Hua Shidu just now, it was enough to tell that he was either rich or noble. He took a deep breath and said with a smile, "This matter is mainly because of Bei Yunj she." Then, before the dean could finish speaking, the girl with her head lowered suddenly smirked. In the next moment, Bei Yunj turned around, went around the man's waist, and hid behind him. Then, he saw her holding Hua Shidu's hand with one hand and the waist of his suit with the other. She stuck her head out from the inside of his bent arm. She raised her head. Her beautiful eyes were clear and harmless. "Brother, this has nothing to do with me." Everyone's eyelids twitched when they saw Bei Yunj pretending to be obedient. "Do you dare to repeat your arrogant and presumptuous behavior just now?" However, although the man glanced at Bei Yunj casually, he didn't say anything. His casual tone was a little intimidating, but it was obvious that he was indulging Bei Yunj. "If my daughter does something wrong in school, as her parent, I will take her back and educate her. But this time, the main reason I'm here is because I can't see my miss being wronged." As soon as he finished speaking, the dean's expression changed drastically. Even Ren Pengfei and the other two students' faces turned pale. Qin Yu was someone who listened to her explanation just now. However, the moment this person entered, it was obvious that he wanted someone to give him an explanation. Of course. I won't let the student suffer." The dean could only put on a fake smile. Chapter 175. Brother, it's actually not a big deal. Bei Yunj, who had started to cause trouble, never disappointed anyone. He was like a troublemaker who had been spoiled by an incapable ruler. "It's mainly because the dean insisted that I'm in a puppy love. Right, dean?" The dean was speechless. Puppy love. Hua Shidu looked up. Bei Yunj looked at Ren Pengfei and said with a smile, "Student Ren." At this moment, when he heard Bei Yunj calling him, Ren Pengfei's back turned cold. "It's you." The man's gaze was deep and cold. The oppressive feeling landed on Ren Pengfei, making him not dare to breathe loudly. Facing such a strong and dangerous man, Ren Pengfei's legs had long turned weak. But coincidentally, then, Ren Pengfei's parents rushed over. "Pengfei, what's wrong with your face? This is too much. Who dares to touch you? I must make him pay the price." Mrs. Ran rushed over and hugged Ren Pengfei with heartache. Her tone was sharp and angry. "Who knew?" Then, Qin Yu's voice sounded slowly. "It's me." Hearing this, Mrs. Ran felt a sense of familiarity. When she turned around and saw Qin Yu's face clearly, she was stunned. "Second young Master Qin? Your son is very bold. He even dares to have designs on my sister." Qin Yu's tone was cold and indifferent. Hearing this, the Ran couple finally understood what was going on. But then Mrs. Ran forced a smile and said, "How can you blame my son for this? Then why doesn't my son mess around with others? Why does he have to mess around with your family?" Although Mrs. Ran did not dare to continue, her meaning was obvious. Mrs. Ran had the same thoughts as Ren Pengfei. A smile appeared on her face again, but she did not notice how cold the man's gaze was. "Since this has happened and second young Master Qin's sister has suffered, our family will be responsible." Hearing this family's shameless words, Qin Yu laughed in anger. He turned around. "Master Du, what do you say about this?" Hearing this, the Ren couple turned around and saw a handsome and dignified man calmly flipping the silver lighter in his hand. The crisp sound was accompanied by a sense of coldness. His expression was so dark that it was hard to tell what he was thinking. Yet he sneered faintly. "Yes, I have to take responsibility." Master Du?" Not long after, Papa Ren, who had always been indifferent, suddenly felt that this address was very familiar. The next moment, Sang Su walked in from the door and said respectfully with a smile, "Master Du, the Ren family's business partners for the past few years have been tabulated. Do you need the Hua Corporation to release the news to those partners now?" "Hua, What corporation? Papa Ren quivered and immediately reacted. His back started to break out in cold sweat. Was it the Hua Corporation? How could it be the Hua Corporation? Didn't Fei only offend the Qin clan? Originally, along the way, he thought that perhaps he could spread the news to let the outside world know that there was an undeniable relationship between the daughter of the Qin family and the successor of the Ren family. This way, a bad thing would become a good thing, and the Ren family would be pulled up as well. Let the Qin family suffer in silence. But now, why was the Hua Corporation here? Who had the guts to make the Hua Corporation suffer in silence? Master Du, it's the child who doesn't know any better. Please don't be angry. Papa Ren's scalp turned numb when he thought of the Hua Corporation's methods. Then. Chapter 176. At this moment, Ren Pengfei, who had been slapped by his father, was completely stunned. He covered his cheek and felt that there was blood in his mouth. He could not speak clearly. Dad, why did you hit me? Who asked you to do such a bastard thing? Bastard, I'll beat you to death today. Father Ren's face was gloomy and distorted. He kicked Ren Pengfei fiercely. The people around them were shocked when they heard the muffled sound. Especially Xie Ziyue. She looked flustered. She did not expect that the man beside Bei Yunj would make the Ren family not dare to make a sound. Why did you hit Fei? Mother Ren widened her eyes and reached out to pull Father Ren back. However, she did not expect Father Ren to shake her off ruthlessly and push her to the ground. He said viciously, if it weren't for you B*TCH, doting on him, would he be so lawless? If you dare to stop me again, be prepared to divorce me. Take this good-for-nothing thing and scram. Perhaps because she had never made Father Ren so angry before, Mother Ren was afraid and aggrieved. He was just a child from another family, and he actually treated his own son like this. However, at this moment, when Huashidu saw this scene, his eyes were calm. He only lowered his eyes and covered Bei Yunj's eyes with his slender and well-defined hand. Bei Yunj's vision was pitch black. She could only turn her head and raise her head in Huashidu's direction. I can't look. Yes. Huashidu's low and magnetic voice flowed out from the tip of his sexy throat. Bei Yunj was not interested in the scene of domestic violence. After turning her head, she stood patiently beside the man. When Lu Yuanxi saw this scene not far away, his eyes darkened subconsciously. This was the first time he saw Bei Yunj showing weakness to someone. It was also the first time he saw her being so obedient to someone. After about 20 minutes, Huashidu spoke indifferently. President Ren, it's better to restrain yourself in school. The form teacher's eyelids twitched. Why didn't you say that just now? Initially, Father Ren kept glancing at Huashidu several times, hoping to hear Huashidu stop. Now that everyone was lying on the ground, unable to stand up, this person finally spoke. This bastard only knows how to cause trouble for me. Master Du, I'm really sorry. I really didn't think that he would do such a thing. Papa Ren's words sounded as if this was Ren Pengfei's first time committing a crime. Then he said flatteringly, Master Du, don't worry. In order not to make Miss unhappy, I will immediately complete the transfer procedures. Huashidu put down his hand that was covering Bei Yunj's eyes. As a parent, I don't want any stain on my daughter's reputation. After Huashidu finished speaking, his cold gaze glanced at the dying Ren Pengfei on the ground. It was obvious that Huashidu was referring to him. Ren Pengfei trembled when he sensed Huashidu's gaze. He pointed at Xie Ziyue and said in a trembling voice, Father, I've never been in a relationship with Bei Yunj. My girlfriend is Xie Ziyue. Really believe me. What? You idiot, why didn't you say so earlier? Papa Ren widened his eyes. Ren Pengfei was at a loss for words. Mama Ren's heart instantly ached and she turned to look at Xie Ziyue ferociously. She went up to Xie Ziyue and slapped her, as if venting her anger. Little vixen! How dare you seduce my son? Chapter 177. Xie Ziyue's head was buzzing from the slap. At the same time, she was frightened by Mama Ren's fierce aura and pushed back in fear. I didn't. Not yet. Mama Ren grabbed Xie Ziyue's hair and slapped her left and right as if she was venting her anger. Was it your idea, you little vixen? If you didn't instigate him, would my son have done such a thing? Now that she knew that the man beside Bei Yunj could not be provoked, Mama Ren only dared to bow to him and step on him. Fortunately, not long after, the form teacher went up and pulled her back. Her face was accidentally scratched by Mama Ren. As for Xie Ziyue, her originally fair and clean face was already red and swollen. Her wounds were bleeding, and her crying appearance was even more tragic. Seeing this situation, Bei Yunji's eyes were cold. She only glanced over indifferently. Master Du, look at this. Papa Ren's face was still full of smiles as he nodded and bowed. Actually, it's just a misunderstanding. After I transfer the child to another school, he won't be an eyesore to miss anymore. What do you think? There's no need to transfer schools. Hua Shidu put the silver lighter back into his trouser pocket. Our Yun Yun is very noisy, but she's still a girl. The man took a wet wipe from the coffee table and held Bei Yunji's hand. He slowly wiped her palm clean, gentle and indulgent. Since the Ren family also has business in other cities, it's not bad to develop in other cities. As soon as he finished speaking, Papa Ren's expression changed. Master Du, their Ren family had relied on Yun Cheng's rapid development and good opportunities to develop quickly. However, if they were to go to other places, it would be difficult for the Ren family to advance. President Ren, there are consequences for everything you do. Hua Shidu's thin eyelids did not move. His noble and handsome eyes were still unreasonable. As for your son, this is just a conflict between children. It won't affect the relationship in the industry. After sending him abroad for 6 to 7 years, he will learn to be obedient. As soon as he finished speaking, Papa Ren's pupils constricted violently and his face turned ashen. Mama Ren almost fainted when she heard this. Hua Shidu's words sounded like he did not intend to fuss over it. However, the underlying meaning was clearly telling Papa Ren that if the Ren family did not follow his instructions, then it would no longer be a conflict between children. It would affect the Ren family's lifeline. After Papa Ren left, Bei Yunji also returned to the classroom. Qin Yu thought for a moment and his eyes landed on Hua Shidu. Master Du, when did you have such a good relationship with my Gu'er? Those who did not know would think that Hua Shidu was his Gu'er's biological brother. At the thought of Bei Yunji calling Hua Shidu brother sweetly when she saw him, Qin Yu almost felt jealous. Didn't you ask me to take care of her? The handsome man said casually. Qin Yu thought for a moment. He seemed to have told Hua Shidu this before. However, he did not expect Hua Shidu to really listen. Brother, you're really something. I'll treat you. I have something to do, so I'll go back to the company first. Before Qin Yu could finish speaking with a smile, Hua Shidu glanced at his watch and left. Qin Yu, half an hour later. Sitting in the nanny van, Qin Yu saw more than 10 calls from Qin Youjiao. He sneered. There was only coldness in his eyes. Then he picked up the phone. Chapter 178. Hearing Qin Youjiao cry sadly, Qin Yu did not waver at all. In fact, impatience even appeared in his arrogant eyes. Are you done? Second brother, I'm the one who grew up with you. Qin Youjiao hid the unwillingness in her eyes and sat on the bed, her voice only sobbing. I also hope that my Gu'er wasn't adopted wrongly from the start. Qin Yu's words made Qin Youjiao's heart turn cold. All of this belongs to Gu'er. Second brother you? Qin Youjiao opened her mouth. I've already found the information of the users who slandered Gu'er on the forum. I'll get someone to send you a copy later. Qin Yu snorted softly and gave a faint smile. Mom looked for me recently because of this evidence, right? In that case, Qin Youjiao, I'll give you a chance. Think about it carefully. Do you plan to reveal your true identity or this evidence? Choose one of the two. In an instant, Qin Youjiao shuddered all over. No matter which one she chose, she would become a laughingstock in the end. Second brother, I don't want to. I don't want to choose. Second brother, I know I was wrong. Qin Youjiao, you don't have the right to call me that. Qin Yu's tone was full of mockery. Okay, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I hope the answer to choosing one of the two today will appear. Qin Yu's lips curled up. Of course, it's impossible to not announce that you're the fake young lady of our Qin family. I'll make you leave the Qin family. If he didn't know Mrs. Qin's temper, she might have done something to Bei Yunji because of Qin Youjiao. He wouldn't let Qin Youjiao jump around until today. But no matter what, Qin Youjiao was a scourge. He had to throw this time bomb out of the Qin family as soon as possible. Qin Yu fell into deep thought. The entire morning. The news of Ren Pengfei being taken away on an ambulance, and Bei Yunji's two older brothers arriving had spread throughout the school. F***CK. Qin Yu is really handsome. My legs almost turned to jelly. What? I heard that Bei Yunj has an older brother who's even more handsome than Qin Yu. Could this be Bei Yunji's older brother? I don't know. These people only know how to make wild guesses, and no one dares to ask. At this moment, Lu Yuanxi, who heard the discussion in the classroom, frowned. He turned around and looked at Bei Yunj. Is that really your brother? Who? Bei Yunj asked slowly. That Mr. Hua. Lu Yuanxi was upset. Bei Yunj's eyes curved when she heard this. She said lazily, yeah, isn't my brother very eye-catching? Lu Yuanxi's eyelids twitched. I hope our deskmate relationship won't be ruined by your tacky taste. Bei Yunj smiled. Not to mention Lu Yuanxi. Even Chu Zhixing could feel Bei Yunj's protectiveness. He's Master Pei's brother. Of course, I can't be picky. Chu Zhixing praised him very sensibly. Hearing this, Bei Yunj looked at Chu Zhixing with admiration. Then, she handed a paper bag to Chu Zhixing. Take this back and open it. What is this? Chu Zhixing was stunned. People with good taste will always have unexpected surprises. Bei Yunj chuckled lazily. Lu Yuanxi, who seemed to have been mocked and isolated, was speechless. Chu Zhixing froze for a moment and touched the packaging in the paper bag instinctively. He felt that this logo was very familiar. Chapter 179. Impossible. I must have seen it somewhere before. Chu Zhixing scratched his head and thought about the English letters on the logo. After a while, Chu Zhixing's body suddenly trembled, and the pen in his hand fell. Wait a minute. This was the universal logo of Country R's Medical Research Institute. Previously, it wasn't that his father hadn't thought about asking for help from these famous research institutes in the medical field. However, the conditions of these research institutes had always been harsh. They had to go through layers of reviews before they could get a chance. As for Chu Zhixing, he was rejected at the first review. After coming back to his senses, Chu Zhixing quickly took out the paper bag. After confirming it again, a stormy sea of emotions surged in his heart. It was really the logo of Country R's Medical Research Institute. Chu Zhixing looked at Bei Yunj in disbelief. Master Pei, where did you get this? A friend gave it to me. Chu Zhixing, who almost fell off his chair, was speechless. A friend from Country R's Medical Research Institute. Chu Zhixing felt that his understanding was shattered once again. Back then, he was very clear that Bei Yunj might have been the one who manipulated the headlines and Tieba. However, he pretended not to know to avoid causing trouble for Bei Yunj. But now, Chu Zhixing was completely dumbfounded. He had never thought that Bei Yunj would actually know the people from Country R's Medical Research Institute. They were a group of immortals. Bei Yunj suddenly said, "Don't use the previous ones." Stephen had said that the side effects of those old drugs were very big. Causing Chu Zhixing to become fat was only one of the side effects. Coincidentally, the new potions she brought were newly developed by Stephen. After using this drug for 2 to 3 months, Chu Zhixing's condition would improve without any side effects. At the same time, Bei Yunj's words stunned Chu Zhixing. Then, when he remembered that Bei Yunj had taken his injection some time ago, he immediately understood. Chu Zhixing's nose inexplicably turned sour. Thank you. He raised his head, his black eyes shining. Master Pei, I will definitely catch up with your footsteps and not embarrass you. One day, he would also be able to help Master Pei. Lu Yuanxi, who was writing a self-reflection, stopped. Has Fatty Chu gone mad? Chu Zhixing, although you're biased, you're still above average. Do you need to chase after my deskmate? Lu Yuanxi even suspected that Bei Yunj had given Chu Zhixing some kind of bewitching potion. This fanboy state of worshipping a big shot was simply frightening. Who knew? Chu Zhixing turned his head and coldly looked at Lu Yuanxi with a look that said, "You know nothing about power." Lu Yuanxi. Very good, he's really crazy. At the hospital. When Mrs. Qin went to buy food, Qin Youjiao took out her phone. Her eyes were dark and her pretty face was a little distorted. Her expression was full of resentment and unwillingness. She couldn't help but grit her teeth. Since Qin Yu asked her to choose, she had no choice. Otherwise, she was also afraid that Qin Yu would do something to ruin her life. After all, the current Qin Yu was too unfamiliar. Bei Yunj, I won't let you off. Qin Yojiao bit her lower lip and after a while, she still wrote a post. 10 minutes later. The internet was bustling again. Many people reposted and commented on Qin Yojiao's post crazily. They didn't expect the drama of a wealthy family to be so exciting. Qin Yojiao. This time, I have to stand up and admit it. First of all, I'm sorry that I let everyone down. Chapter 180. In the school forum, I exposed the post about Sister Yunj because I didn't want Sister Yunj to go home. I'm really sorry for letting down everyone's trust and liking. At the same time, I want to apologize to Sister Yunj solemnly. I'm sorry, Sister Yunj. Picture. The picture Qin Yojiao posted was a handwritten apology letter, which seemed very sincere. In the comments section, there was another heated discussion. No way, no way. Qin Yojiao actually did such a thing? Is she afraid of threatening her position in the Qin family? Let's not talk about the past. The future is promising. Jiao Jiao is very good. She took the initiative to admit her mistake. Heart. Hug Jiao Jiao. You can't do this again, pitiful. I still think that Bei Yunj has something to do with Qin Yojiao being able to do such a thing. She made Qin Yojiao self-destruct so quickly. Bei Yunj is really capable. I'm a student of Hengda High School. I'm also very shocked that the person who posted this is Qin Yojiao. But isn't it true that Bei Yunj sucked the blood of the Qin family? Picture. Soon. Qin Yojiao's fans started to control the comments and the public opinion gradually reversed. Bei Yunj took her grandmother to the best restaurant in Yuncheng for a meal. I wonder whose money she took to be filial. Grin. I don't want to say anything else, but Qin Yojiao is still in the hospital. Can't Bei Yunj be a human? Must she force her to her death? Oh my god. Bei Yunj is indeed not a simple character to be able to return to the Qin family. The once doted young lady of the Qin family is now being forced to such a state. Pitiful. I only realize now that it's really good to be a public figure. There are fans who control the comments. The one who has apologized to even has to be scolded. Grin. Because Qin Yojiao had many die-hard fans, the comment section was soon filled with fan control comments. Even those sarcastic comments about Bei Yunj were deliberately liked by the fans and became trending. And Bei Yunj was even compared to Qin Yojiao. Even director Lin, who was photographed by a student last time, became a cold and greedy leech in the words of fans and righteous passers-by. After scrolling through these comments, Qin Yojiao heaved a sigh of relief and gradually felt smug. Although this incident had caused a small number of fans to leave, and there were even more haters. But it was worth it to trample Bei Yunj to this extent. However, half an hour later. Backstage. Brother Yu, Qin Yojiao, whom you asked me to keep an eye on, has already posted something. The assistant handed Qin Yu a bottle of water and passed him the phone. Hearing this, a mocking look appeared in Qin Yu's eyes. It seemed like this Qin Yojiao knew how to make a choice. However, after Qin Yu scrolled through a few comments, his handsome face gradually darkened. The smile on Qin Yu's lips was cold. She really knows how to gain sympathy. Most of the comment section was actually scolding Bei Yunj. He reprimanded Bei Yunj for sucking the blood of the Qin family. His words were extreme. Brother Yu, did you quarrel with Miss Qin? The assistant asked cautiously. It was his first time seeing Qin Yu treat Qin Yojiao like this. Besides, it was for that new younger sister who had never appeared before. Qin Yu snorted and threw the mineral water bottle to the assistant. Don't mention her to me. Then, Qin Yu sat down. Before the assistant could ask again, he saw that he was editing a post. Brother Yu. The assistant's eyes widened in disbelief. Chapter 181. If it was really just siblings throwing a tantrum, Qin Yu wouldn't have done such a thing. It was obvious that they had broken up. The assistant was dumbfounded. However, even if Qin Yu did something that might affect his reputation, he didn't dare to interfere. After all, this person was Qin Yu. Soon, the internet exploded again. Everyone saw that Qin Yu had posted a post personally. Qin Yu. In the past 17 years, the kindness of raising me is greater than the heavens. As her elder brother, I owe Director Lin a thank you. Director Lin taught me very well and she has always been beautiful. Love and brightness. Kindness will last forever. Picture. The picture was a photo of Qin Yu and the old lady taken a few days ago. The moment this post was posted, everyone thought of Qin Yo Jiao's post. Wasn't Qin Yu obviously responding to Qin Yo Jiao? This slap to the face was too ruthless. Not only did he tear apart those self-righteous fans who called the old lady a bloodsucker, he even tore apart Qin Yo Jiao. Every word was saying that Qin Yo Jiao had no moral bottom line. As expected of the best actor, he never showed mercy when tearing people apart. Soon, the comment section was occupied by fans of various families. Let me take a look. Let me take a look. F*CK. Is brother Yu domineeringly protecting his sister? Sob, my husband's photo is so good. No way, no way, no way. The two sisters are tearing each other apart and Qin Yu is standing on their side? No wonder Jiao Jiao's condition hasn't been good recently. Can the Qin family be fair? Goodbye. The Jiao fan above, is there something wrong with your brain? Your main character isn't even saying anything about the old lady and you're not letting my brother Yu say anything? What's the matter? Are you planning to tear us apart? Sure, we don't mind either. We can help your main character raise his status. The moment Qin Yu's fans came up, Qin Yo Jiao's fans were terrified. After all, who didn't know the fighting power of Qin Yu's fans? Usually, almost no one in the industry dared to provoke this group of sisters. However, it didn't take long for strange comments to appear. Why does this old lady look so familiar? The person above, there's no need for that. She's the director of the orphanage. How do you know her? F*CK. Bei Yunj used to live in an orphanage? No wonder. It's a fact that it's difficult to catch up to Qin Yo Jiao due to the lack of congenital conditions. Master laughed. The moment Qin Yu spoke, Bei Yunj gained so many fans who adore her? No matter what Qin Yu thinks, aren't this old lady and this new Miss Qin just greedy for the Qin family's money? Soon, this comment was liked and placed in the top 3 trending topics. Following that, many of Qin Yo Jiao's fans began to feel aggrieved. Sigh, it's so hard to chase after celebrities. As long as I'm Qin Yo Jiao's fan, I can't speak the truth. Our Jiao Jiao is just a flower of wealth. She can't compare to other people in terms of social experience. I heard that orphanages are quite messy. Upstairs, that's right. You can't imagine the dark side of children who come from an orphanage. At this moment, many of Qin Yo Jiao's fans seized the opportunity to start a conspiracy theory. He even implied that Bei Yunj was not the daughter of the Qin family and that everything was a lie. But who would have thought that in the next moment, a pornographic account would make a statement? F*CK. It's really Dean Lin. Qin Yo Jiao's fans. Can you wake up? Don't offend someone you shouldn't. Chapter 182. Awesome, so the director of the orphanage has such a background too. I'll give Bei Yunj a like. I'm dying of laughter. Someone you can't offend? You're so amazing. You know more than everyone. At this moment, the account was so angry that he laughed. However, not long after, he sent another reply. Indeed, Jiao fans are all primary school students. Search for Lin Longjun online. Don't act like a retard all day long. Seeing this comment, many of Qin Yo Jiao's fans were angry, but they still searched for that name. Soon, a Baidu encyclopedia appeared. Lin Longjun, PhD in biology, former director of Yuncheng University's Faculty of Biology, and an academician of the Academy of Sciences. Winner of the 48th Janes Biology Award, specializing in molecular biology and systems biology. He is now retired. Everyone. What the hell? Were they dreaming? These honors felt like a big shot that they had to memorize in their high school textbooks had suddenly appeared in the entertainment industry. Did they break through the dimension? F*CK. The former director of my alma mater. I worship Director Lin. Ah, my idol. I'm crying. It's really Director Lin, the pioneer of biology in the country. I was caught by my roommate and asked me to come and see my idol. I didn't expect it to be Director Lin. Director Lin is my motivation to get into Yunchang University. She's also the person I'm most proud of in my youth. Wait a minute. Are there any requirements to register for the orphanage? I think my son is quite suitable too. Oh, Bei Yunj has made a killing. Who doesn't want to be doted on by Director Lin? Director Lin was famous for her good temper back then. Not long after, the comments below Qin Yu exploded. A few hours later, some big shots in the scientific research field who obviously did not use social media registered personal accounts and reposted this post. Everyone looked at these credentials. The principal of Yuncheng University, the dean of biology of Yuncheng University, the founder of the Tsinghua Research Institute. One by one, the big shots who could let them memorize hundreds of words more in high school came out and reposted to support their old friends. This was a famous scene in the scientific research field. What was even more eye-catching was that the official account of Yuncheng University, the highest university in the country, directly reposted and commented on Qin Yu's post. Yuncheng University. Dean Lin donated all the patent fees back then to support the public welfare of the abducted children. You will always be the Director Lin that we are proud of, heart. / Qin Yu. The moment the post was forwarded, Qin Youjiao's fans fell silent. However, no one had forgotten the comments about Bei Yunj and Director Lin. I'm going to cry. Director Lin is such a good person. She went to open an orphanage in her later years and insisted on doing good deeds. Yet, she still has to be humiliated like this. Goodbye. I've turned from a fan to a hater. Disgusting. This time, it was your main character who admitted that he had slandered Director Lin. Smile. I'm dying of laughter. Ha 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 ha. Yuncheng University unfollowed Qin Youjiao. That's too protective. That's right. All of Qin Youjiao's fans in Yun University have automatically stopped being her fans. Who isn't Dean Lin and Du Wei? The daughter that Principal Lin raised is my daughter too. Oh no, it's my collection. No wonder I haven't seen Bei Yunj's movements. The child raised by Director Lin is so low-key. Right now, all of Qin Youjiao's fans were panicking. No one had expected such a reversal. Chapter 183. The director of the orphanage that raised Bei Yunj was actually a famous researcher. Is this world a fantasy? Because of the sudden exposure of Director Lin's identity, the public's attitude towards Bei Yunj had changed drastically. In the past, when you said that you were envious of Qin Youjiao, I really couldn't get it. But now, I'm really envious of Bei Yunj. Not to mention her brother. Can a researcher grandmother that appears in high school textbooks be more amazing? The photos that were posted on the forum don't seem to show Director Lin's face. It feels like Bei Yunj is blocking it on purpose. This is too heartwarming. Director Lin has helped the Qin family raise their daughter for 17 years. What's wrong with Bei Yunj bringing Director Lin out for a meal? Do all of you think that benefits are more important than raising her? A certain fan should come out and jump in. Why are you acting like cowards? Qin Youjiao, come out and apologize to Director Lin. Grin. At night, Qin Youjiao was still watching a drama. Not long after, Mrs. Qin pushed the door open and entered, her expression dark. Jiao Jiao, what did you post online? Qin Youjiao panicked immediately, thinking that Mrs. Qin also felt that she had gone overboard. Mom. I'm sorry. She bit her lip, her eyes red. I did something wrong. Can you forgive me? Hearing this, Mrs. Qin was angry and heartbroken. Jiao Jiao, are you stupid? Look at the headlines now. Headlines? Qin Youjiao was stunned. Weren't they all scolding Bei Yunj and that old Madam Lin? Qin Youjiao unconsciously opened the message, and what entered her eyes was an unprecedented large number of private messages and comments. This made Qin Youjiao's heart tremble and she had a bad feeling. Then, Qin Youjiao clicked on it and after reading the first dozen or so comments, her face paled. How did this happen? The internet was filled with comments scolding and reprimanding her. And that ordinary-looking old lady was actually the former director of Yuncheng University? And she had received so many honors? How was this possible? Qin Youjiao's expression was dazed as her face gradually turned green and red. Mom, Qin Youjiao couldn't help crying and started to feel helpless. I really didn't know. She's the dean of Yuncheng University. Yuncheng University had always been her dream school. But now, Could she still get into Yuncheng University? Mother Qin's expression didn't look too good either. She didn't expect that the seemingly submissive old lady was actually such a character. She took a deep breath and said, "Jiao Jiao, when your leg is better, I'll take you to apologize to Director Lin. You must get her forgiveness." Mrs. Qin also regretted treating Director Lin like that back then. If she had known about Principal Lin's identity earlier, she would have definitely treated Principal Lin well. Perhaps, he could even get Director Lin to bring some resources to Jiao Jiao. But can Principal Lin forgive me? Qin Youjiao's eyes were filled with resentment and unwillingness. What right did Pei Yunj have to take all the good things? Even if Bei Yunj was swapped, how could she be adopted by Director Lin? Now that Bei Yunj was back, even second brother and third brother only treated Bei Yunj as their younger sister. At this moment, Mrs. Qin looked at Qin Youjiao, her heart feeling very complicated. She didn't expect Qin Youjiao to do such a thing. Seeing Mrs. Qin sigh, Qin Youjiao hurriedly grabbed Mrs. Qin's hand. She hated Bei Yunj to the core, but she cried and said with a trembling voice, "Mom, I'm really afraid that she'll snatch you away." Chapter 184. Feeling helpless and heartbroken, Mrs. Qin could only caress Qin Youjiao's head. She could not bear to see Qin Youjiao being scolded like this. "Don't do such a thing in the future. Mom will find someone to settle it for you." Backstage, Qin Yu read the public opinion and calmed down the shock in his heart before he started to play games. Then, suddenly, Qin Yu heard a phone notification. When he left the game and opened his personal message, he found that he had entered a mysterious and strange organization. What is it? Qin Yu opened the group chat in confusion. However, when he saw the group members' identities, the phone he was holding almost shook. The former and current principal of Yuncheng University, the Dean of Science, and the current Dean of Biology. In addition, there were several famous professors. Even Qin Yu recognized them. One of the professors seemed to have won a world award some time ago. Dean of Biology of Yuncheng University. Do you have a personal account for your daughter? Qin Yu, former principal of Yuncheng University. Qin Yu, little Qin, if you have the chance, let your daughter come to my house to play. Seeing these messages, Qin Yu felt like he had entered a world that did not fit in. These were all big shots in the scientific research field. Qin Yu was shocked for a long time as he watched this group of immortals continue chatting. Professor Yu Guang. Haha, you're already so old and you're still thinking about Lan Jun? Principal of Yuncheng University. Former principal of Yuncheng University. Why do you care? Former principal of Yuncheng University. Dean of Biology of Yuncheng University. Find a chance to get Lan Jun's daughter to enroll in our school. Seeing this message, Qin Yu thought of his Guer's results and his eyelids twitched. He did not notice that another big shot had entered the group. A.M. Institute. Zhong Shenglin. Why didn't Lan Jun tell me? Where did she find this child? After Zhong Shenglin found out that Bei Yunj was actually raised by his old acquaintance, he felt even more jealous. Why didn't he encounter such a good thing? Why couldn't he find an heir? Former principal of Yuncheng University. Old Zhong, don't wander around the edge of the law because you don't have a successor, okay? A.M. Institute. Zhong Shenglin. The nature of the crime of picking up a child and kidnapping children was the same. A.M. Institute. Zhong Shenglin. At this moment, Qin Yu had just regained his senses when he saw the new member's name card and almost stood up. Zhong Shenglin. Anyone who surfed the internet would know of this old master Zhong. This was Director Lin's friend too. Qin Yu suppressed the shock and complexity in his heart. In the end, he took a deep breath and replied. Qin Yu, Guer doesn't have a personal account. Principal of Yuncheng University. It's fine. Your daughter is going to college soon, right? Have you decided which department you want to enter? Qin Yu. He probably wouldn't be able to get into any of the faculties. Just as Qin Yu was chatting awkwardly with the big shots, Bei Yunj was preparing the information she would bring to A.M. tomorrow. He didn't care about what was happening on the internet at all. However, at this time, Marcus called. What happened? Bei Yunj leaned back in her chair and wiped her wet hair lazily. I heard from Zhong Shenglin that something happened to you online again? Don't tell me you called me specially because of this. Bei Yunji's eyes relaxed and she looked charming. Seeing that Bei Yunji ignored the comments online, Marcus heaved a sigh of relief. He said, "No, I'm looking for you this time mainly because of the Qin family." Chapter 185. About the Qin family? Bei Yunji's eyes were calm and he could not tell from her tone. "Your brother seems to have been looking for professionals in the computing field to work with. Besides us, he has also contacted other computing institutes and professional platforms." Hearing this, a trace of thought flashed past Bei Yunji's eyes. She did not know much about her brother, Qin Luyen. However, she remembered that the reason for the Qin family's bankruptcy seemed to be related to the company's data leak. For the company's data to be leaked, apart from being bribed, it could also be done maliciously by technicians. If it was the latter, then this was the same as the anti-fan who harmed old Master Qin back then. "What conditions did he offer you?" Bei Yunji asked. Marcus smiled. "Everyone is well aware of what kind of conditions the rich will offer. This is nothing more than the hiring fee. However, Yunji, that's your brother. If it's for your sake, of course there's no problem." If it was before, Marcus would definitely have accepted it secretly and then told Bei Yunji to gain her favor. However, some time ago, he heard from that old fellow Zhong Shanglin about the Qin family and Bei Yunji no longer had a good impression of the Qin family. What was wrong with them? They did not want a daughter who could bring the Qin family to the top and insisted on treating that Qin Youjiao as a treasure. Did this family use their IQ to exchange for looks? Just as expected. After a while, Bei Yunji tapped the table carelessly with her fingertips. "There's no need." In the original novel, the Qin family's bankruptcy was done by an heiress who was crazily pursuing the eldest young master of the Qin family, Qin Luyen. Later, this heiress even became Qin Youjiao's good friend. So, for the time being, she could not interfere in this matter. She had to lure the snake out of its hole first. Although she did not want to have anything to do with the Qin family, she would help the original protagonist achieve her long-cherished wish after inheriting the original protagonist's body, including solving the Qin family's crisis for the original protagonist. "Yunji, do you really hate them a lot?" Marcus hesitated for a moment before asking. "Marcus, do you think I can't solve this matter?" Bei Yunji was all smiles. Hearing this, Marcus was instantly enlightened. That's right. Did the Qin family need to go outside and beg for help? Didn't he have an immortal at home? All right, then we won't get involved in this matter. After reporting this, Marcus hung up the phone. At this moment, Bei Yunji received a message from Qin Luyen almost at the same time. "You're going back soon. Do you want any gifts?" Bei Yunji glanced at it and frowned. She thought that Qin Luyen had sent it to the wrong person, so she turned around and went to the bathroom to dry her hair. But at the same time, Qin Luyen, who was far away in country R, waited for a few hours but did not receive a reply from his sister. The next day, after Bei Yunji went downstairs, she rubbed her furry head and asked in a nasal voice, "Auntie Meow, where is my brother?" Mr. Hua went out. "I've prepared breakfast for you, miss," Auntie Meow said with a smile. "Thank you, Aunt Meow." After Bei Yunji sat down, the worry in Aunt Meow's eyes gradually disappeared. "Miss, I have something to tell you." Hearing this, Bei Yunji looked up instinctively. "What is it?" "Mr. Hua went out with President Yu today." Auntie Meow frowned. "President Yu doesn't have any good habits. He changes his girlfriend like clothes." "If Mr. Hua went out with him, miss, you have to persuade Sir to go home early." Chapter 186. Bei Yunji's hand that was scooping the porridge stopped. He did not quite understand Aunt Meow's anxiousness. Maybe she's going out to relax. Bei Yunji did not wait for Aunt Meow to continue persuading him and pulled her to sit down. "Aunt Meow, try it too. It's pretty good." Aunt Meow. After breakfast, Bei Yunji glanced at the identity card that Zhong Shanglin had given him on the table. He casually stuffed it into his pocket and prepared to leave with the documents. A.M. Institute of Computational Technology. "Brat, hurry up and wipe the glass. Why is it so dirty? It affects the aesthetics, do you know that?" Zhong Shanglin suddenly slammed the young man's table, giving him a fright. What was wrong with this old man? Back then, when the higher-ups came over, he was so focused on research that he couldn't even be bothered to open the door for them. He left the leaders at the door for more than an hour. Now, he actually wanted him to wipe the glass. The young man thought for a moment and frowned again. No way, old master. There are only a few interns today. Do you have to mobilize so many people? He was a senior after all. Just because a few interns came over, he had to personally wipe the glass. What's wrong? There's a future director among them. Hearing this, Zhong Xinglin's face darkened and he slapped the back of the young man's head. The new member of the Marcus family will be coming today. You'd better be more respectful. Take good care of her and make her feel that the A.M. Institute is the happiest place in the world. The young man had goosebumps when he heard, the happiest place in the world. He crossed his arms and looked wary. Old master, don't treat me as a tool just to seduce a big shot, okay? It's fine if it's a girl, but you want me to seduce a man with my beauty? This was a legitimate research institute. What kind of messy happy place was this? Zhong Xinglin endured for a long time and tried his best not to get angry. Then he put on a fake smile. Do you think she'll like you? The young man. It's a little girl. Don't mess around. When Zhong Xinglin thought about how the person he had been looking for so long was finally under his nose, he became happy. Hurry up and wipe the windows. Also, ask those guys in the station to come over and identify the person in an hour. Little girl? How big is that? The young man's eyes lit up, and his blood boiled. Little girl. The little girl from their computing institute. Wasn't this too happy? You'll know when the time comes. Zhong Xinglin frowned and glanced at the restless young man with disdain. Old master, I actually think it's a good thing to sacrifice for the research institute. If it's possible. The young man changed the topic, but he did not expect to be interrupted by Zhong Xinglin with a smile. He closed his mouth with one hand. No, you can't. Even though the young man's mouth was pinched shut, he still struggled hard and said vaguely, I'm the favorite of the research institute, other than me. You can seduce anyone, but if you dare to seduce her, those old fellows from Yuncheng University will be the first to not let you off. Zhong Xinglin's words made the young man unable to react. He did not expect this new member to have such a strong background. At this moment, Cheng Zihuai sat in the car and listened to Qin Youjiao speak. Zihuai, today is your first day in the institute. I'm really sad that I can't send you off. Chapter 187. Cheng Zihuai smirked. He was in a good mood because he had finally gotten the only internship spot in Hengda. Recuperate well. I'll visit you when I'm free. At this point, Cheng Zihuai could not help but think of Bai Yunj and he frowned. Ever since Bai Yunj returned to the Qin family, the Qin family had been in a mess. She was really here to collect debts. However, he did not expect Bai Yunj to be so lucky to be raised by Director Lin. Seeing that Cheng Zihuai's attitude towards her had not changed, Qin Youjiao felt sweet and touched. Then, after being coaxed by Cheng Zihuai, she hung up the call in relief. But almost at the same time, Cheng Zihuai received another call. It was from Mrs. Cheng. Zihuai, why couldn't I get through to you just now? I was calling Jiao Jiao, Cheng Zihuai said. Hearing this, Mrs. Cheng couldn't stop smiling. You said that you liked Jiao Jiao, but you refused to admit it. Back then, you quarreled with Jiao Jiao and insisted on getting engaged to Bai Yunj. Fortunately, the Qin family didn't take it seriously. Hearing Bai Yunj's name, the smile on Cheng Zihuai's face disappeared. Mom. Okay, let's not talk about her. My son is so outstanding. Of course he has to find a girl who is worthy of him. Mrs. Cheng had always looked down on Bai Yunj and her tone was contemptuous. Zihuai, don't worry. Your father is very happy that you entered A.M. this time. When you become an official employee, I'll go and talk to Mrs. Qin about your engagement with Jiao Jiao. Cheng Zihuai's eyebrows relaxed. Thank you, Mom. Although Bai Yunj was indeed prettier than Jiao Jiao now, his wife was destined to be more than just looks. A person with a notorious record like Bai Yunj had no right to be his wife. After hanging up the call, Cheng Zihuai got out of the car and arrived at the entrance of the A.M. Computing Institute. Unfortunately, the moment he looked up, he saw Bai Yunj walking towards him. Cheng Zihuai furrowed his eyebrows and his gaze on Bai Yunj became mocking. He had gotten the only internship spot in Hengda. Wasn't it obvious why Bai Yunj was here? He thought that this woman really didn't care about him anymore. He didn't expect that she would return to her previous self so quickly. Cheng Zihuai turned his head coldly. After the security guard checked his internship certificate and let him go, he said, "It's better to prohibit unauthorized people from entering your place, lest they cause trouble." With that, Cheng Zihuai left. The security guard turned around and saw Bei Yunj. He immediately understood what Cheng Zihuai meant. Soon, when Bei Yunj reached the entrance, the security guard stopped her. "Miss, the station doesn't allow unauthorized people to enter." Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes moved as she saw Cheng Zihuai enter the A.M. Computing Institute. Of course, she knew why the security guard stopped her. She lowered her eyes and her red lips curled. Without saying anything, she took out her identity card and swiped it on the machine. Shortly after, before the security guards could stop them, they heard a long beeping sound. Then, the door opened automatically. The security guard's eyes widened when he saw this. Only the professors and directors of the institute had this identity card. What was wrong with this young lady? "Can I go in now?" Bei Yunj looked at him and smiled politely. When the security guard reacted, he hurriedly nodded. "Miss, please. What kind of operation was this?" This young lady was a new member of the station? She was too young. After Bei Yunj thanked him, she went straight into the police station. Chapter 188. Bypassing the courtyard, Bei Yunj walked along the long corridor and found the reception room. However, she did not expect to meet a young man cleaning glass on the way. Bei Yunj was speechless. Did the people in the Computing Institute love life so much? "Hello, uncle. May I know how to get to the reception room?" Hearing this address, the young man's body trembled and his face darkened. He turned around and wanted to curse. However, when he saw Bei Yunj's face clearly, his face was filled with shock. It's you." The young man's heart was in turmoil, but all his doubts were resolved. However, when he regained his senses, he became agitated again. "Why is it you? It's actually you? Are you kidding me?" So the person who paralyzed the headlines and accurately sent Qin Lang's anti-fans to the police station was Bei Yunj herself. There were no other big shots at all? When the young man thought about how the security system in the hospital that he could not even make was made by Bei Yunj, his heart skipped a beat and he sprained his ankle. His entire body fell out of the window. At this moment, his eyes widened in fear. In the process of falling, he saw Bei Yunj quickly and considerately move the bucket under him away with the tip of her foot. It was not enough to make him drenched. However, the next moment, the young man still screamed and almost lost his life. "Ouch, my waist." The young man's face was distorted from the pain. A few minutes later, the young man regained his senses and looked up to meet Bei Yunj's gaze. The two of them looked at each other and were silent for a long time. The young man said, "Thank you." Bei Yunj said, "You're welcome." One dared to say it, while the other dared to respond. In the long corridor, the young man held his waist and limped with Bei Yunj to look for Zhong Shanglin. "My name is Si Cheng Yen. You can call me Brother Yen." Bei Yunj could tell that he had deliberately emphasized the last few words. "Okay, where is Elder Zhong?" "Old Master planned to let you use the Deputy Director's research lab. He probably went to see the layout." Bei Yunj did not expect Zhong Shanglin to care so much about her. She nodded. "Thank you. You're welcome. Grandpa likes you a lot. You have to know that I only had the privilege of having my own research lab last year." Si Cheng-yen looked at her sourly. "If you sign with our agency, I don't know how much he will dote on you. Marcus is also very good to me." Bei Yunj chuckled. Although it hadn't been long since they signed the contract, Marcus did clean up a lot of her messes. "With your qualifications, you'll be worshipped like an ancestor no matter where you go, okay?" Si Cheng-yen was indignant. He was only 19 years old. In the future, he would definitely be a rare genius that every country would fight over. Bei Yunj smiled nonchalantly and followed Si Cheng-yen to another building. But right at this moment, Cheng Zihuai, who was passing by, was stopped by a graduate student who had just entered the institute this year. The senior pointed at Si Cheng-yen excitedly. "Did you see that boy? He's not even 30 years old and is a guest professor of computer science at our Yunqing University." When Chang Zihuai heard this, he was about to size up Si Chengyan when he suddenly noticed the figure beside him. His expression changed. Wasn't that Bei Yunj? How did she get into the Computing Institute? Why are you in a daze? Did you hear what I said? The senior said unhappily. I'll go take a look. Chang Zihuai's face darkened and he wanted to chase after her. But then, he was stopped by the senior. Chapter 189. Are you crazy? Do you want to be chased out? The senior could not help but pat Chang Zihuai and laugh. Brother, those who are not important members of the institute are not qualified to enter that place. Chang Zihuai's mind was in a mess. He took a deep breath and pointed in the direction Bei Yunj had left. Then that girl. Huh? What girl? The senior did not notice Bei Yunj and only cared about showing off his connections in front of the new Chang Zihuai. As for Chang Zihuai, he was sure that the person he saw just now was definitely Bei Yunj. He could not be wrong. However, Bei Yunj could not be an important member of the institute. Other than experienced computing talents, A.M.'s entry process would take several years to reach that position. How could Bei Yunj know anything about computers? It's fine. Chang Zihuai took a deep breath and did not continue to dwell on this matter. In the research room. Do you want to consider the new interns for our new project? They all feel good. The plump director smiled apologetically. In the past few years, there were almost no interns left in the institute. Although he was anxious, there was nothing he could do. After all, this was founded by Zhong Shanglin himself. No one could interfere. Consider my foot. Zhong Shanglin rolled his eyes. When he thought about how Marcus could poach someone from Yuncheng across the ocean, he was so angry that his lungs hurt. The director was shocked. He did not know why Zhong Shanglin had been so hot-tempered recently. Then this research room. The director asked carefully. It's for someone else, Zhong Shanglin said matter-of-factly. The director continued to ask. Not from our institute? I haven't poached her yet. Zhong Shanglin was also a little worried. That girl looked young, but he could not figure out what she was thinking. However, when the director heard this, his eyelids twitched. You didn't manage to poach her, so you let her come to our private research room? Wasn't this too much? Back then, Si Chengyan had hugged Zhong Shenglin's thigh and begged shamelessly for a year before he had a private research room. She's worth it. After Zhong Shanglin said this, he chuckled at the department head. If I don't have any ideas about her and continue to guide those interns, I don't know if I will still have any hope of seeing my juniors win the Busaka Prize before I die. Busaka Prize. The director's expression changed. How could a member of the Foreign Institute be so capable? She's from the Marcus Research Institute. She was the one who proposed the key project of our nation's computing institute this year. Hearing Zhong Shenglin's words, the director's scalp went numb. Since Superintendent Zhong was trying to poach people, wouldn't Marcus fly over from Country R to fight with Superintendent Zhong? The new member they are talking about. Zhong Shanglin and Marcus, important members of the Computing Institute, knew each other. If it was an old member, Zhong Shanglin would have already taken action. Yes, director. It wasn't easy for the other party to sign a big shot, and he was already trying to poach him. Wasn't he afraid of retribution? Then when will she? Before the director could finish his worrisome question, he heard a clear voice. Elder Zhong. In an instant. The director paused and slowly turned his head. His gaze landed on Bei Yunj. Then, his mind exploded. He instantly understood why Zhong Shanglin had spent so much money to poach him. Was this really the person the superintendent wanted to poach? Wasn't she too young? Chapter 190. At this age, she could already aim for the Busaka Prize. If it was him, he would also dig her up. Yunj, you're here. Look at this place. Are you satisfied? The moment Zhong Shanglin saw Bei Yunj, his eyes lit up. He was so amiable that Si Chengyan, who was beside him, felt extremely uncomfortable. Ha! Back then, when he had been recruited, this old man had not even treated him like this. Thank you, I like it very much. Bei Yunj scanned the spacious and bright research room. There were all kinds of basic facilities. There was even a projector in front to facilitate the live video conference. It's good that you like it. Then I'll bring you to meet people first. Zhong Xinglin's words made people think that Bai Yunj had already entered their calculations. Okay. Bai Yunj's eyes moved. Indeed. In the next period of time, she would have to come to the institute often. It was time to meet people. Although she also felt that Zhong Xinglin's intentions seemed to be different. In the conference room, Bai Yunj was arranged to sit on the left of Zhong Xinglin. The important members of AM had just entered when they noticed the unfamiliar girl and were shocked. What was going on? Didn't they say that they were here to see the big boss that the old master was especially concerned about? What did it mean that a young girl suddenly appeared in their institute? Suddenly, a terrifying conjecture emerged in their minds. No way. The big boss that the inspector liked was this young girl. Sit down. What are you looking at? The head of department raised his orchid fingers and served Bai Yunj a cup of tea. Miss Pei, try it. It's fresh, milk tea. He looked down and realized that Si Chengyan, that bastard, had gotten him a cup of milk tea. The head of department's eyes were burning as he stared straight at Si Chengyan. You're welcome. Si Chengyan raised his glass at Bai Yunj and drank the milk tea in one gulp. He crossed his arms and bit the pearl happily. Bai Yunj took the teacup as her overly beautiful eyes curved lazily. She didn't seem like a difficult person to interact with. Seeing this, the director and director both heaved a sigh of relief. Come, let me introduce you. This is Bai Yunj. She's the little girl I mentioned to everyone before. Zhong Xinglin turned around excitedly. Yunj, introduce yourself. When Bai Yunj heard this, she felt the gazes around her. She was silent for a moment and swallowed the pearl unhurriedly. Hello, everyone. I'm Bai Yunj, a member of Country R's Institute of Computational Technology. As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere was cold and awkward. Everyone. Oh, he hadn't been poached yet. At the same time, in the meeting room of another building, Chang Zihuai frowned. Didn't you say that we have a meeting at 11? The boy next to him shook his head and whispered into his ear mysteriously. I heard that the professor who is going to give us a speech is having an impromptu meeting. In the next building, the big shots were having a meeting. Do you understand? All of them are immortals. An impromptu meeting at this time? Cheng Zihuai pursed his lips. However, as an intern, he had no right to speak. I think a big boss came. The institute values her very much, the boy said nonchalantly. Hearing this, Chang Zihuai's expression softened a little. However, he was also curious about who this person was. Soon, he quickly recalled how he had bumped into Bai Yunj on the way. However, when he regained his senses, he felt that his thoughts were ridiculous. How could Bai Yunj be qualified? Chapter 191. Those who could be valued by A.M. were definitely those who were competing for the top. As for Bai Yunj, she was a brainless person. Now, she was already pampered by the older brothers of the Qin family. In the future, it was hard to say if she would be a prodigal. How could she be involved with a big boss? Cheng Zihuai snorted. He felt that he might not have rested enough and was starting to let his imagination run wild. Forget it, he would wait a little longer. It was not easy for him to enter the A.M. Computing Institute. In the conference hall of another building, more than 10 members watched expressionlessly as the superintendent and the dean worked together to poach people. All right, Yunj, what's the direction of your project? Zhong Xinglin asked. Public key cryptography. I think it'll take another 4 months to complete. The moment Bai Yunj finished speaking, Si Chengyan, who was originally relaxed, could not sit still anymore. Public key cryptography? Si Chengyan suddenly remembered. You're the one who did Marcus's key project this year? I'm the person in charge. The moment Bai Yunj finished speaking, the other members looked up abruptly. Their faces were filled with shock as they sucked in a breath of cold air. Very few people did research in this direction, so there was not much information in this area. Therefore, it was difficult to produce results. However, as Marcus's new member, Bai Yunj brought along a key project right from the start. Wasn't her intention obvious? She was F*King aiming for the Busaka Prize. Marcus was not a fool. Without full confidence, he would not spend so much effort on Bai Yunj. It was obvious that Marcus had really scooped up a genius from their country this time, And right under their noses. Then Yunj, are you free to work with our institute too? The dean hurriedly put on a smile and started to poach her quietly. Bei Yunj was about to speak when her phone suddenly vibrated. She took out her phone and looked down. It was a call from Marcus. The dean was speechless. Did this old fellow have clairvoyance? Why did he call at this time? Yunj, take it. Zhong Shanglin also saw the note. Then, he smiled generously and leaned back in his chair confidently. In the eyes of the other members, he was probably a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. Anyway, he was determined to poach this person. My apologies. Bei Yunj nodded. At this time, Marcus rarely called. What's wrong, Marcus? Bei Yunj asked. Marcus's voice sounded from the other end of the phone. Your big brother offered us a very high price. Of course, we don't care about this little bit of money. However, you know that. We have some platforms here. There will definitely be people who will agree to your big brother's request. I'm afraid that your big brother won't just be deceived. People who were proficient in virtual networks were difficult to control. If Bei Yunj's eldest brother wasn't careful, he might lose his entire family fortune. She wondered what had happened to the Qin family that made Bei Yunj's elder brother so anxious. Marcus pondered. Okay, I got it. Then agree to his request first, Bei Yunj said calmly as she hid the emotions in her eyes. Agree? Don't you want to handle it yourself? Marcus was stunned. Hearing this, Bei Yunj chuckled. Am I not a member of the institute? These words made Zhong Shanglin, who was beside her, feel jealous. Chapter 192. When Marcus heard this, he understood. Suddenly, he said, Yunj, are you at the A.M. Institute? Bei Yunj glanced at the others. M.M. At the same time, the people from the A.M. Computing Institute noticed something strange. Marcus said, Yunj, turn on the speaker and chat with your old friend. Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and turned on the speaker after asking Zhong Shanglin. Oh, Marcus, why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you're nervous? Zhong Shanglin smiled. Hearing the old master's annoying tone, all the members were speechless. But in the next second, they heard Marcus retort again. Why are you nervous? I'm embarrassed that my Yunj is working at the place you borrowed. Look, I even transferred some funds to you. Thank you for taking care of my Yunj. Marcus continued to be a bitch. I'm relieved to have you guys taking care of her. All the members were speechless. No wonder these two were old classmates. They were both annoying. Because she had an appointment with the intern she was teaching, Bei Yunj returned to the research lab early and had a video conference. As for Tich and Jasmine, although they could not keep up with Bei Yunj's progress, they were still hardworking and learned a lot. Except sometimes, Bei Yunj's silence made them tremble in fear. Until evening. Bei Yunj returned home, only to find the living room empty. Her eyebrows moved as she suddenly remembered what Aunt Meow had said to her. Brother and Yu Honran had gone out. Bei Yunj glanced at her watch. It was almost 7:30 p.m. After thinking for a moment, she went upstairs to take a shower first. Then, she carried her laptop downstairs and sat on the soft blanket by the coffee table, waiting quietly. Miss Pei, you're back? Aunt Meow walked over from the long corridor with dinner. Bei Yunj nodded. Aunt Meow, did brother say when he will be back? Mr. Hua never tells me this. However, sometimes Mr. Hua and President Yu go out and don't come back. Bei Yunj's fingers paused for a moment before she tapped the table again. Okay, I'll ask her later. Hearing this, Auntie Meow grinned. All right. I'll bring the soup over first. Miss, please fill your stomach. Yes. After Aunt Meow left, Bei Yunj called Hua Shidu. But at this moment, Bei Yunj almost thought that she was here to check on her. Not long after, the call went through. Bei Yunj heard the man's deep and pleasant voice. It sounded more magnetic and clear through the phone. What's wrong, Yun? Have you eaten? Hua Shidu glanced sideways and reached out to turn off the music in the room. Yu Honran, who was in the middle of singing with the young model sister. Aren't you going home for dinner? Bei Yunj asked. At this moment, Yu Honran really wanted to know what Hua Shidu was saying to Bei Yunj, but he didn't dare to eavesdrop. He looked at Hua Shidu with a meaningful gaze. Wasn't the young lady calling at this time to check on him? However, when Huashidu heard this, he lowered his voice and laughed. This flirtatious and seductive look made Yu Hanran's female companion's eyes widen. He said, "Do you not know how to do the questions?" Bei Yunj said calmly, At this moment, Yu Hanran's eyelids twitched when he heard Huashidu's words. What kind of hobby did Master Du have? He liked to teach young girls to do their homework. Chapter 193. Huashidu asked, "What subject?" "I don't know anything." Bei Yunj's words sounded very confident. Huashidu had always known that this young lady was very smart. If her results were not good, it was very likely that her foundation was weak. However, it was not easy for the young lady to study obediently and make up for her past homework. "Then can I go back later?" Huashidu's eyes darkened even more, but there was a casual joke in them. Yu Hanran, who had been eavesdropping, really felt that he almost did not recognize Huashidu in front of him. Was Master Du blooming after 10,000 years? He actually knew how to tease young ladies. However, when he thought of Bei Yunj in her school dress, Yu Hanran felt that Master Du's feelings were full of taboos. Was that Miss Pei an adult? At the same time, Bei Yunj thought of what Aunt Miao had said and her beautiful eyes moved. She thought that Huashidu was addicted to a woman. Therefore, his first impression of Yu Hanran was automatically reduced to not a good person. "Brother, are you very happy outside?" Hearing this, Huashidu laughed hoarsely. His upturned eyes were charming and ostentatious. "What? Brother, you must come home at 10:30. Bei Yunj thought for a moment and rested her chin on her hand with a smile. She reminded him kindly, "Also, brother, don't pick the wild flowers by the roadside." With that said, she hung up. In the private room, Yu Hanran looked at Huashidu, who seemed to have something to say, and suddenly realized something. Their Master Du had been hung up on by a young lady. "Master Du, look. Young ladies are like this. They're straightforward. How can there be a 26-year-old woman who's flirtatious and sensible?" Yu Hanran hugged his female companions and leaned close to their necks to flirt. Although his female companions were giggling, they stared at Huashidu with a burning gaze. But in the next moment, Huashidu picked up the suit jacket at the side and walked out with his slender and abstinent legs. "Master Du? Where are you going?" Seeing this scene, Yu Hanran was shocked. "Don't we still have a meal? You can handle it." With that, Huashidu pushed open the door, leaving behind a quickly disappearing figure. "Master Du likes young girls?" One of the female companions couldn't help but ask as she stuck close to Yu Hanran. "I say, baby, don't even think about him." Yu Hanran touched her chin, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Smart girls shouldn't seek their own deaths." Hearing this, the female companion shuddered and hurriedly nodded. Seeing this, Yu Hanran also regained his leisure as if nothing had happened just now. In the living room, Bei Yunj glanced at the completed homework, and her eyelids twitched unconsciously. In the end, he could only pretend to flip open the practice questions at the back and pretend that he hadn't touched a single word. However, after that, Bei Yunj recalled that Huashidu should not be back so soon. She did not heave a sigh of relief. On the contrary, there was a faint feeling of displeasure. It was as if something she liked had been taken away by someone else. However, very quickly, Bei Yunj did not take these emotions that she had never felt before to heart. Instead, he continued to organize the information and prepare for the next project. Half an hour later. This was the third time Aunt Miao saw a certain Pei not far away. He quietly picked up his phone, looked at the time, and quietly put it down. Seeing this. Chapter 194. Hua! Aunt Miao was about to speak when Huashidu gestured for her not to speak. Bei Yunj, who had nothing left, picked up her phone again. She looked at the time on the screen and fell into deep thought. It was 8 o'clock. This man did not return home even at 10 o'clock. Suddenly, Bei Yunj began to understand how Huashidu felt when he caught her out of the bar. Bei Yunj closed the laptop immediately. However, she never thought that when she looked up, she would see the handsome and dignified man with one knee slightly bent. His slender and well-defined fingers inadvertently loosened the collar of his shirt. He looked lazy and seductive. At this moment, Bei Yunj's gaze followed the man's sexy Adam's apple and the mole. A mole in that position. He was too lustful. Not long after, she looked away slowly. Bei Yunj said, "Brother, you came back quite early." "Really? I thought Yun Yun was scolding me in her heart." Hua Shidu's gentle gaze landed on her and he chuckled in a low and hoarse voice. His deep and magnetic voice tickled her eardrums. It was simply fatal. "No." Bei Yunj raised her head and smiled. "It's rare for brother's old house to catch fire." "Old house?" Hua Shidu asked. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. Suddenly, she leaned against the coffee table with both hands and cupped her cheeks. Her beautiful eyes curled up as she looked straight at the man's heart. "It's the only place on brother's body that can hide people." Hearing this, the man's unreadable gaze landed on her. After a while, his eyes gradually darkened as if he was intoxicated, but he was staring straight at her. Hua Shidu's thin red lips curled up. He reached out lazily and gently pinched the back of her neck. His low voice was hopelessly sexy. It was ostentatious, frivolous, and playful. "So, were you the one who started the fire, little baddie?" This ambiguous gentleness pierced right into her heart. It made people's hearts go numb. At this moment, Bei Yunj also froze. Why did this man make people feel that he was seductive and lustful? Uncontrollable. The image of this man in bed appeared in Bei Yunj's mind. It was simply fatal. "Brother, have you eaten?" Bei Yunj subconsciously changed the topic. "No, I have to rush back to look at the flowers at home." The man smiled faintly. "I take care of them every day. They are much more delicate than the wild flowers outside." Bei Yunj accidentally met with his unwavering eyes to look at her. S2's a little. She stood up and went to look for Aunt Meow. S2's. Seeing this, Hua Shidu chuckled nonchalantly. Then, he leaned back on the sofa and unbuttoned 2 buttons. Ants. Bei Yunj was still tutored for half an hour before she went upstairs to sleep. The next day. Hongda High School. Why did they all too? The moment Bei Yunj returned, she found that everyone was in a hurry. "Today's the exam," Lu Yuanci said naturally. "When did you find out?" Bei Yunj did not know which examination hall she was in. "Just now." Lu Yuanci patted her shoulder. "It's okay, deskmate. I won't be surprised no matter how much you score." After all, she was someone who had joined the class by donating a building to Hongda. Bei Yunj asked, "How much can you score?" "I can't pass the total score." Chapter 195. Hearing this, Lu Yuanci felt Bei Yunj's gaze on him with faint disdain. Lu Yuanci was speechless. They were about the same and she dared to despise him? "Actually, I'm very good at foreign languages." Lu Yuanci immediately clarified with a proud expression. "It's easy for me to get more than 140 marks. After all, Lu Yuanci grew up overseas and returned to the country in the 2nd year of junior high. You're amazing." Bei Yunj replied casually as she searched for her stationery in the drawer. Lu Yuanci's competitive spirit was immediately aroused. "You don't believe me, right? This time, I'll let you realize what a true genius is." With that said, Lu Yuanci left for the examination hall in high spirits. However, Bei Yunj's eyelids moved. She didn't understand why a boy of this age was so silly. The examination seats in Hongda High School were arranged according to results, from the 1st examination hall to the 10th examination hall. "Jiao Jiao, you're already like this and you still insist on taking the exam? You're working too hard." The female classmate helped Qin Youjiao to the 1st examination hall and sat down in the 2nd seat. Qin Youjiao smiled. "I feel that my study condition hasn't been too good recently, so I wanted to come and test it. No matter how bad the Almighty's condition is, he's not something we mortals can compare to." The girl pretended to sigh before she said, "However, I also want to know what results that Bei Yunj from class 7 can get. I heard that she cheated in the exam and was punished before she changed schools, right? TSK, they're both the eldest young miss of the Qin family. The gap between her and you is too big. Okay, let's not talk about her anymore." Qin Youjiao deliberately restrained her smile and said expressionlessly, "I don't want Dad, Mom, and second brother to blame me for anything anymore." When this scene landed in the eyes of others, it made them remember those especially mean words to Qin Youjiao online. Qin Youjiao had only posted a post and didn't cause any substantial harm to Bei Yunj. Besides, she had apologized sincerely. Was there a need for those people to insist on it? At this thought, many people even felt that Bei Yunj was not a good person. At the very least, Qin Yojiao had already apologized and deserved to be scolded so badly. Why wasn't Bei Yunj coming out to help her? Jiao Jiao, you don't have to feel guilty. Even if Director Lin is not interested in money, what about Bei Yunj? The female classmate's expression was disdainful, but it was difficult to hide her jealousy in her tone. She was brought up by Director Lin, but doesn't she still want to return to the Qin family? I don't believe that she's doing this for the sake of kinship. In the end, she's still here to compete with you for the family property. Okay, you should go to the examination hall quickly too. Qin Yojiao sighed helplessly. Yes, I'll take my leave then. After the female classmate left, Qin Yojiao smirked at the thought of the parent-teacher conference next week. She really couldn't miss this monthly test. She wanted her second and third brothers to see clearly how unworthy Bei Yunj was to return to the Qin family. Bei Yunj was not familiar with Hengda. When she entered the examination hall, she realized that Lu Yuanxi was still sitting next to her. She glanced at Lu Yuanxi, who was sleeping on the table, and her eyelids moved. She walked over and knocked on his table. Lu Yuanxi, you're sitting in the wrong seat. However, Lu Yuanxi clearly did not expect that there would be a day when he would have to give up his position after sitting in the last place for more than a year. Are you getting up? There was a hint of impatience in Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes. Lu Yuanxi held back his laughter and slowly moved up a seat. Bei Yunj was speechless. Chapter 196. It was probably because the last 40 students were more fixed. As a result, there was suddenly an eye-catching girl who attracted a lot of attention. However, when the invigilator handed out the papers, the students' attention was diverted and their faces gradually became dejected. At this moment, Bei Yunj glanced at the paper and was about to answer the questions when she remembered how Huashidu patiently taught her the questions yesterday. She stopped writing and thought for a moment. After about 10 minutes of writing, she leaned on the table to rest. After a whole day of exams, Lu Yuanxi was still full of confidence in himself. He turned and asked, "Deskmate, how did you do?" "Barely," Bei Yunj said slowly. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi looked at her with pity. He couldn't bear to expose Bei Yunj's stubbornness. "Don't worry, I'll still choose you next time when we change seats according to the results." Bei Yunj. After school. Bei Yunj had just left Hengda High School when she was stopped by someone. "Gur." Bei Yunj turned and saw Mr. Qin walking towards her, attracting a lot of attention. Although Mr. Qin was in his 40s or 50s, he didn't look old. He was wearing a neat suit and his elegant eyes were calm and wise. "What's the matter?" Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Her naturally smiling eyes didn't have any warmth. "How have you been recently?" Mr. Qin looked uneasy and his throat was dry. "Jiao Jiao doesn't live with your third brother anymore. Why don't you move back home?" During this period, Mr. Qin had thought a lot. He suddenly realized that he owed his daughter a lot. Ever since Bei Yunj returned home, he had only said a few words of concern, but he had never fulfilled his responsibility as a father. And Mrs. Qin was even worse. "Mr. Qin, I'm doing very well now and I don't plan to go back." Bei Yunj's eyes were similar to Mrs. Qin's, but they were brighter and more flamboyant. "If you can take care of your daughter and wife, I'll lead a better life." Hearing this, Mr. Qin's body froze. The corners of his lips moved subconsciously. You're also my daughter." Before Mr. Qin could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj's calm and composed expression. In an instant, his face burned, and he lost his voice. He had no right to say that Gur was his daughter. If you don't like Jiao Jiao, then I won't let you see her so much in the future. I know about what happened on Tieba, and I understand that you have been wronged." Mr. Qin's lips moved, but his voice softened as he muttered, "But she's still my daughter. I hope you don't hate her." However, Bei Yunj sneered when she heard this. When Father Qin heard this, it was a little jarring. Then she said casually, "Mr. Qin, no matter whose daughter Qin Yojiao is, she has to pay back the debt she owes." When Mr. Qin heard this, his heart tightened, and his expression became even more miserable. However, when Bei Yunj saw this scene, she was still indifferent. "Don't look for me in the future. I'm very busy." Bei Yunji's tone was cold. With that said, she was ready to leave. Suddenly, Guer, tomorrow night is old Madame Lu's birthday. Are you still going? Mr. Qin's eyes were filled with anticipation. Bei Yunji looked up, her face expressionless. It's the last time. From now on, anything in the Qin family has nothing to do with me. With that said. Chapter 197. Mr. Qin watched as Bei Yunji left. He opened his mouth, but he could not make a sound. His hands clenched into fists helplessly. At this moment, Bei Yunji walked through the crowd. She had only taken a few steps when she suddenly stopped. The man standing under the green shadow casually bit on a cigarette. It made people feel that he was in a romantic mood. But in the next moment, the man's gaze fell on her unwaveringly. His knuckled hand clamped down on the cigarette, and the corners of his lips curled up. A pair of cold and indifferent eyes were staring straight at her. It was a coincidence. Bei Yunji walked towards him and her gaze unconsciously landed on the mole on his Adam's apple. She had an inexplicable urge to touch it. After this thought flashed through her mind, Bei Yunji realized that her hand was already in mid-air. Very quickly, Bei Yunji reacted and immediately retracted her hand. But who would have thought? At this moment, the man looked down at her casually. His eyes were so dark that they could not be seen clearly. Suddenly, Bei Yunji heard a hoarse and magnetic laughter above her head. It sounded as if it was about to hit the girl's heart ruthlessly. She could not avoid it. Her heart skipped a beat and she instinctively looked up. Brother! At the same time, Wuxia suddenly reached out and gently grabbed her wrist. Then, he nonchalantly threw away the cigarette between his fingers on his other hand. Before Bei Yunji could react, he pulled her wrist gently. With a quick step, she bumped into the embrace of the cold fragrance floating in the air. Have I not hugged you enough in the past? Wuxia rubbed the back of her head gently with his palm. His lazy and frivolous voice and ambiguous gentleness tickled her ears. It was only when she was brought into the car that Bei Yunji realized what was going on. When she reached out to him just now, Wuxia must have mistakenly thought that she wanted to hug him but did not dare to. Soon, Bei Yunji asked belatedly, Brother, did you see it just now? Yes. Wuxia did not hide it and answered indifferently. Just now, he had seen Bei Yunji and Mr. Qin talking not far away. It was also a rare sight for him to see the little girl's cold expression. Wuxia's answer also confirmed Bei Yunji's guess. This man probably thought that she was in a bad mood after quarreling with Mr. Qin. So when she saw him, she wanted to hug him. This misunderstanding was really interesting. What happened? Wuxia looked ahead and asked. No. Bei Yunji glanced at him quickly. Her eyes were curved, and she turned her head to look at the scenery outside the window. Wuxia suddenly said, Yun. Bei Yunji turned to look at him. Be more reserved. Don't secretly smile after taking advantage of your brother. Wuxia's posture was lazy and light. It was indescribably seductive. His deep and pleasant voice was mixed with the joy of joking. It was simply irredeemably sexy. Bei Yunji simply changed the topic. He came to look for me just now because he wants me to go to the Lu family's birthday banquet tomorrow night. You don't want to go? Go. It's the last time I'll listen to him. Bei Yunji glanced at him again. Brother, why are you free to come and pick me up today? I heard that today is Hengda's February exam. Bei Yunji. Why was he more informed than her? Why didn't Yun tell me about this? Wuxia asked unhurriedly. Chapter 198. Bei Yunji could not answer for a moment. Wuxia asked again. You don't want to tell me? No. Bei Yunji pulled up her hood and covered most of her face, revealing only her sharp chin. She slowly turned her head away. I only found out today. Hearing this, Wuxia glanced at Bei Yunji. The tip of his throat rolled and he let out a soft laugh. He did not ask further. This child was really difficult to control. The next evening, Bei Yunji went straight to the Lu family. At the Hua Corporation. In the office. Master Du, Miss Pei is going to the Lu family today. Aren't you going to take a look? Sang Su probed carefully. I've prepared a gift. Just send it over. Hearing the man's words, Guasu's eyelids twitched. Then why did you keep texting Miss Pei today? You just want Miss Pei to ask you to accompany her. Gua Su cursed silently, but he did not dare to show it on his face. Suddenly, a glint flashed across his eyes and he quickly said, "But the Yu family will go. President Yu's appearance will definitely cause another commotion." Commotion? Huashidu raised his pale eyes and looked at him. His slender fingers tapped on the table casually. "It's just that. Many socialites will think of ways to get close to President Yu. In the past, Zhang Su had always attended those banquets on Huashidu's behalf. He naturally knew how popular Yu Hanran was to those socialites and young ladies. As long as there was competition, these young ladies who claimed to be of noble status would inevitably be jealous. And people like Bei Yunj, who did not know the socialites in the circle, were the easiest to be ostracized. After a while, Zhang Su saw that Huashidu did not speak and said, "President Yu knows Miss Pei and will definitely go up to greet her. When that time comes, Miss Pei would become a thorn in his side." However, before he could finish speaking, Huashidu interrupted him. "Tell Yu Hanran to know his limits." Huashidu looked up. His tone was light and lazy, but for some reason, it was suffocating. At this moment, even Zhang Su did not react. He had not finished speaking. Why was Master Du so unhappy? Suddenly, he regained his senses and looked at Huashidu with a complicated gaze. "President, you couldn't even greet Miss Pei? Wasn't Master Du being too strict with him?" In the Liu family, the scenery of the garden was pleasing. The lamplight and candlelight reflected each other's brilliance. The fragrance of clothes and the shadows of hair shadowed the surroundings as they chatted and laughed. "Jiao Jiao, you're finally here." Ling Jiwei was wearing a dress that had been specially prepared for her. She looked delicate and charming. "My legs. To thank you so much to come all the way here." Qin Youjiao sat in the wheelchair and looked at Chang Zihuai, who was pushing the wheelchair, with a sweet and shy expression. "This twos. To my's to tut. Of course, it's of her ts." Qin Youjiao had just finished speaking when suddenly, someone put a suit jacket over her shoulders. She turned around and saw Chang Zihuai smiling as he said, "The wind is so strong. Don't catch a cold." "Aren't you being too biased, Senior Cheng? I'm wearing less than Jiao Jiao. Why aren't you draping it over me?" Ling Jiwei teased. "Jiao Jiao is weak." Although Chang Zihuai said this, his gaze was gentle as he looked at Qin Youjiao. Chapter 199. "Tisk, I'm just strong." With that said, Ling Jiwei said enviously, "In the past, I always saw Jiao Jiao and Senior Cheng quarreling. Now that I can see the two of you being so sweet, I'm very happy too." At this point, Ling Jiwei suddenly thought of the person in her class. She changed the topic and laughed coldly, lest some scheming people think of ways to be the third party. Hearing this, Chang Zihuai's eyes darkened and he did not clarify. Actually, he had deliberately approached Bei Yunj back then to make Qin Youjiao jealous. Although he knew that Bei Yunj had always had a crush on him, Qin Youjiao sized up the people around her casually. "Okay, stop talking. Bei Yunj will be here today too." Her. Ling Jiwei's eyes widened and she could not help but laugh coldly. What right does she have to come? Is this a place she can come to? Bei Yunj was completely incompatible with their circle. Which socialite would be willing to interact with someone like Bei Yunj? My father went to look for Bei Yunj. Qin Youjiao's eyelashes fluttered. She was wearing a long white dress and looked pitiful. Uncle Qin is too kind to let Bei Yunj do this. With that said, Ling Jiwei suddenly thought of something and looked at Qin Youjiao excitedly. "Oh right, Jiao Jiao, did you know? The Yu family will be here today." Yu Hanran. Qin Youjiao's eyes flashed as she remembered that Yu Hanran and Huashidu had gone to the Qin family last time for Bei Yunj. She clenched her fists unconsciously. "That's right. However, there's also the eldest young miss of the Yu family. I heard that President Yu has a very good relationship with Miss Yu." Ling Jiwei was still eager to try. Her excitement could be heard in her voice. "That's the Yu family. A true top aristocratic family. How great would it be if I could be friends with Miss Yu? Miss Yu rarely appears at these gatherings. She might not like to make friends." Although Qin Youjiao said this, her thoughts were the same as Ling Jiwei's. If she could make friends with Miss Yu, her status in the circle would also rise. It would also solidify her identity as the eldest daughter of the Qin family. At this thought, Qin Yojiao also comforted herself. Yu Hanran was obviously not familiar with Bei Yunj, and that Mr. Hua. Even if he really wanted to protect Bei Yunj, it was just out of interest. Bei Yunj couldn't get close to the Hua family at all. At this thought, Qin Yojiao heaved a sigh of relief secretly and said gently to Ling Jiwei with a smile. However, if you want to get to know Miss Yu, I can help you. Really? Jiao Jiao, I told you, you're my best friend. Ling Jiwei was overjoyed. Meanwhile, on the way, Yu Hanran walked in front expressionlessly. His handsome face was dark. Yu Manran, you're getting bolder and bolder, aren't you? You've been in the entertainment industry for a few years and you're still a D-lister. How dare you challenge me? Unable to take it anymore, he turned around and looked at Yu Manran, who was wearing earphones. You're the D-lister. Yu Manran exploded. Yu Hanran smirked and said mockingly, among all the girlfriends I've had, there's no one worse than you. Yu Manran couldn't take it anymore and dug out the hot sales of his new album. Did you see that? I'm already starting to become popular. I'm #1 on the half-year chart. Chapter 200. Yu Manran took a deep breath and looked at him with a fake smile. I haven't asked for money from my family for several years. Oh, you've been in the dock for so long. Yu Hanran raised his eyebrows. Fortunately, you were strong-willed back then and didn't choose to expose your identity. Otherwise, our Yu family wouldn't be able to afford to lose this face. I can't be bothered with you. I'll stay for 20 minutes today. Yu Manran was so angry that he didn't want to talk to him. He rolled his eyes and said arrogantly. She didn't want to make friends with those arrogant people in the industry. Each of them was more annoying than the other. If I find out that you're gone when we leave the banquet today, don't blame me for buying over that lousy company of yours. Yu Hanran also laughed angrily, not wanting to continue talking to this annoying sister. He glanced at Yu Manran with disdain and suddenly thought of the little girl beside Hua Shidu. The way she called him older brother softened his heart. It was no wonder that Master Du liked little vixens so much. Who wouldn't like them? Yu Hanran, how dare you? It's good to change it to a square park, Yu Hanran said faintly. Yu Manran was speechless. Brother, I was wrong. Seeing Yu Manran admit defeat, Yu Hanran snorted and deliberately messed up her hair before he stopped and left. This be *****. Yu Manran gritted his teeth and entered the banquet in his high heels as if he was here to seek revenge. On the marble ground of the garden, there was a grand piano. Qin Yojiao was carried to the piano cushion by Cheng Zihuai in public, causing many young ladies who were familiar with Qin Yojiao to be envious. I'll listen to you play from the side. Cheng Zihuai smiled and said gently. Qin Yojiao nodded with a red face. Okay. It was only after Cheng Zihuai left that Ling Jiwei bent down and whispered into Qin Yojiao's ear. Miss Yu is already here. I heard that she's very interested in piano. Jiao Jiao, we'll have to rely on you. Hearing this, a smile appeared on Qin Yojiao's face. She only played the piano keys casually and nodded. Don't worry. She would seize this opportunity to make the young lady of the Yu family interested in her. Soon, the sound of the piano gradually rang out. It was an unfamiliar tune that he had never heard before, and it was especially eye-catching. Everyone turned to look at the girl in a white dress who was playing the piano. Her appearance was elegant and refined, leaving a deep impression in one's mind. In the next moment, even Yu Manran, who had just arrived at the banquet, was stunned when he heard the skillful and pleasant sound of the piano. She was attracted to the sound of the piano and saw the person playing it clearly. Qin Yojiao was indeed worthy of the title of a young pianist and was indeed a talented young girl. However, at this moment, the first person that Yu Manran thought of was Bei Yunj. At the same age, Bei Yunj's creative ability was already astounding. There were even well-known musicians in the country who took the initiative to contact the composer after hearing her new song. All of this proved that Bei Yunj's terrifying strength had yet to be fully displayed. This person was still a mystery. Yu Manran stared at Qin Yojiao, his thoughts already starting to blank out. She was faintly looking forward to the scene of that person personally playing the piano. How shocking would that be? Before the piano music ended, the person who had just entered had already quietly sat on the swing in the corner. She leaned against it lazily, her expression languid and arrogant. Her black hair, fair skin, and red dress made her look extremely beautiful. Chapter 201. Bei Yunj glanced at Qin Yojiao, who could be vaguely seen in the distance. She then leaned one hand on the handle of the swing and supported her head. She looked free and unrestrained. Even after the piano piece ended, many people's eyes were still unable to move away from Qin Yojiao. Their expressions were either stunned or envious. "Miss you!" Ling Jiwei shouted. When she saw Yu Manran's face clearly, she was stunned. The young lady of the Yu family was that Yu Manran from the entertainment industry? Why didn't anyone expose this matter? "Who are you?" Yu Manran looked at the uninvited person and frowned slightly with displeasure and coldness. Ling Jiwei was slightly uneasy and nervous. "I heard from a friend that Miss Yu likes music. I didn't expect Miss Yu to be an artiste." Hearing this familiar conversation, Yu Manran was not interested. She crossed her arms and looked at Qin Yojiao not far away. "That young lady is not bad." Hearing Yu Manran praise Qin Yojiao like this, Ling Jiwei's eyes flashed and she was full of smiles. "Yes, her name is Qin Yojiao and she's the eldest young lady of the Qin family. She even had a piano concert tour before and wrote all the pieces herself." With that said, Qin Yojiao had already been pushed over in a wheelchair by Cheng Zihuai. "Wei Wei." Qin Yojiao called out to Ling Jiwei before her eyes landed on Yu Manran. "Is it Miss Yu? You played well." Yu Manran looked at her. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao tried her best to suppress the smile on her lips and said with a smile, "This is my new piece for this year's piano tour. If Miss Yu is free, you can come and listen to it." Because of Qin Yojiao's piano skills, Yu Manran was indeed not as uninterested as when he first came to the banquet. Qin Yojiao had also pulled herself into a relationship with Yu Manran intentionally or unintentionally. At this moment, Ling Jiwei suddenly spoke, her tone gloating. "Jiao Jiao, that person isn't here yet. Could it be that she's afraid?" Qin Yojiao laughed. "Why are you mentioning her all of a sudden?" Then, Qin Yojiao said casually, "She hasn't been back to the Qin family for long, so it's normal that she doesn't know anything." Yu Manran had been in the entertainment industry for many years. How could he not hear the superiority in Qin Yojiao's words? She smirked and her interest in Qin Yojiao immediately disappeared. "Even if she's talented, she can't compare to you, Jiao Jiao." Ling Jiwei deliberately smiled and said, "Other than Miss Yu, no one else can compare to an outstanding person like Jiao Jiao." "Are you talking about the new miss from Jiao Jiao's family?" A few socialites who knew Qin Yojiao came over and giggled. One of them deliberately asked, "Jiao Jiao, how long has it been since she returned to the Qin family? Why didn't you change your surname back?" Hearing this, Ling Jiwei couldn't help but sneer. "Jiao Jiao is so young, but she won the first prize in the piano competition. She's the youngest winner in history. In terms of talent, who could compare to Jiao Jiao? If someone like her has the same surname as Jiao Jiao, it would be too much of a stretch." Hearing this, Qin Yojiao furrowed her eyebrows as well. She did not want to keep mentioning Bei Yunj in such an occasion. Not everyone could be compared to her. But then, before Qin Yojiao could interrupt, Yu Manran suddenly lifted his skirt and walked towards the grand piano. This scene confused the socialites who had just treated Bei Yunj as a joke. "Miss Yu, what are you doing?" Ling Jiwei was confused. As for Qin Yojiao, her smile froze when Yu Manran sat in front of the piano. Chapter 202. Yu Manran played a few keys simply. Not long after, a piano sound that was different from before attracted everyone's attention. On the other hand, Bei Yunj, who was leaning against the swing, looked up and said, "Follow me." At this moment, everyone present was fascinated, but Qin Yojiao's expression did not look too good. From the beginning of this piano piece, it had already tickled people's hearts. The main melody of the piano was clearly vicissitudes of life and had a grand style, but the secondary melody was healing and joyful and romantic. The seemingly contradictory rhythm was compatible, but it sublimated the mood of the piano piece. This kind of score often required very difficult skills to play, and the composer was even more open-minded. His control of the tune and rhythm was like a stroke of genius. After the performance, Qin Yojiao felt like she had been slapped in public. Her expression was ugly, but it was full of smiles. "Miss Yu played very well. Which famous composer did this score come from?" Qin Yojiao could tell that Yu Manran did not know enough about music scores. But this score itself was very difficult to play. It was probably a famous pianist the Yu family had invited. Otherwise, they would not have done this. Not only Qin Yojiao, even the others wanted to know who the person who could make such a score was. Originally, when they heard Qin Yojiao's piano piece, they thought that it was already rare. However, they did not expect that the moment Yu Manran played the score, the former became a bland soup. A famous composer? Yu Manran chuckled and glanced at the socialites who had stepped on the high and flattered the low just now. This was written by a girl about your age. I only played a simplified version. With that said, everyone present was shocked. About the same age as Miss Qin? Is she a god? I've learned piano for so many years and only now do I realize that I'm here to make up the numbers. I thought that Qin Yojiao was already very good at this age. Why is there a big boss now? I don't know music, but it's really nice. The discussions around them started to question Qin Yojiao's talent, making Qin Yojiao feel like she had fallen into a quagmire for the first time. She took a deep breath and tried to sound as calm as possible. May I know who she is? There's no need for that. After Yu Manran finished speaking, he smiled mysteriously. Miss Qin, you are also very powerful, but you have to admit that there is always someone better than you. She could only play the simplified version of the music score in an orderly manner. But if that person were to personally play the original version, it would definitely be a shocking scene. All of a sudden, Yu Manran really wanted to encourage Bai Yunj to go to his concert and play the original song. That scene would definitely explode. However, when Qin Yojiao heard this, she could not smile at all. How could she not tell that Yu Manran had a bad impression of her now? Miss Yu, I understand if you don't like me. Qin Yojiao clenched her fists and said with a generous smile, but I'm afraid it's a little hard to believe that such a song was written by someone my age. The meaning of these words was obvious. She was questioning the truth of Yu Manran's words. Miss Qin, do you think that if you can't write it, others can't write it either? Chapter 203. With that said, the entire venue fell silent. Although there were many socialites who played the piano well, no one dared to say that they could play 1/3 of the piano piece just now. This score was too difficult to control. At this moment, Qin Yojiao smiled as well. Miss Yu, I didn't say this on purpose. But there are some things that sound ridiculous. At this moment, many people agreed with Qin Yojiao's words. Such a piece did not seem like it could be written by a person in her teens or 20s. If that was the case, then she was too talented. Yu Manran looked at this hypocritical face and gritted his teeth in anger when he heard this. Then she laughed coldly and looked around, wanting to find Yu Hanran. No one knew that Yu Hanran had a strong memory for music. Usually, after listening to a piece once, he could play it perfectly. But at this critical moment, Yu Hanran actually King disappeared for her. Yu Manran's expression darkened. At this moment, Yu Hanran had unknowingly walked to Bai Yunja's side. He was interested. Miss Pei, can't you tell that that silly girl is speaking up for you? He was not standing far away just now and had heard the discussion of the group of girls. Yu Manran was still the same as before. He even defended people he didn't know. President Yu, you don't even care about your sister? Bai Yunj raised her eyebrows, a faint smile in her eyes. Hearing this, Yu Hanran did not expect this little girl to guess his relationship with Yu Manran. That score is quite difficult. Yu Hanran's tone was teasing. Why don't you call and ask Master Du to support you? He's very good at the piano and violin. He also wanted to see how important this little girl was to Master Du. Really? I'll listen to it in the future. Bai Yunja's eyes were presumptuous and flamboyant, but she was bright and charming, making people dazed. Hearing this, Yu Hanran only understood after a while. This little girl only liked to eat alone and did not want others to hear Shidu play the piano. Yu Hanran was speechless. This little girl's possessiveness was quite scary. However, before Yu Manran could continue speaking, Bai Yunj slowly stood up when he caught a glimpse of Yu Manran's face turning red. She casually straightened her skirt and walked into the crowd. However, Bai Yunj's reaction also surprised Yu Hanran. What was Bai Yunj doing? Could it be that she could play the piano? After obtaining this understanding, Yu Hanran still didn't dare to be sure. It was not that he had not checked Bai Yunj. In Hongda High School, Bai Yunj was the epitome of an ignorant and incompetent troublemaker. How was this the obedient girl who would be influenced by art after class? Miss Yu, do you know anyone at the banquet? Qin Yui asked with a coy smile. Cheng Zihuai, who was standing behind Qin Youjiao, also looked at Yu Manran coldly, thinking that he was deliberately finding trouble with Qin Youjiao. Even if Yu Manran's gaze was cold. Just as he was about to say something, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. Yu Manran. The moment he finished speaking, Yu Manran's eyes lit up when he saw Bei Yunj. She never thought that she would meet Bei Yunj here. However, after that, she felt inexplicably guilty. Could it be that Gu-er had seen her playing her song and fighting with someone? Gu-er. Yu Manran's tone was weak. Chapter 204. At the same time, everyone subconsciously followed Yu Manran's line of sight. In an instant, a trace of amazement flashed across their eyes. The girl who walked over had black hair and fair skin. She was wearing a long red dress with a V-neck and thin straps. Her waist was tied up, outlining an extremely high-class sexiness. She had a pair of soul-stirring eyes. The smile in her eyes did not reach her eyes, but she was languid and charming. Which family's young lady's appearance was real? At this moment, a trace of strong jealousy flashed past Qin Youjiao's eyes and her eyes darkened. These two people actually knew each other? Soon, Qin Youjiao said with a smile, "Is she the only friend Miss Yu knows on the show?" Yu Manran could not help but look at Qin Youjiao, his eyes dark. Where did this elder young miss get her sense of superiority from? Didn't she know that she had already shown off in front of the big boss? Yes, she's the only friend I know on the show. Yu Manran chuckled and said indifferently. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao gritted her teeth and clenched her fists unconsciously. She had just said so much to Yu Manran, planning to make Yu Manran one of her own. But now, she found out that Yu Manran was actually willing to be friends with someone like Bei Yunj. This woman was really crazy. Not only Qin Youjiao, but Ling Jiwei and the rest beside her also had ugly expressions. Ling Jiwei gave a fake smile. Miss Yu, were you deceived by Bei Yunj? What's so good about her that you want to be friends with such a person? Hearing this, Yu Manran's eyes turned cold. This gaze made Ling Jiwei inexplicably afraid and she avoided his gaze. A person who's worth it is worth it everywhere. Yu Manran raised an eyebrow and chuckled, but the coldness in his eyes did not disappear. Hearing this, Ling Jiwei's expression was ugly, but she did not dare to offend the Yu family. Suddenly, Qin Youjiao spoke. Since that's the case, it looks like you can definitely help Miss Yu prove what she said just now, right? Bei Yunj's lips curved upwards as her gaze landed on Qin Youjiao. Qin Youjiao, leave some leeway for yourself. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao thought that Bei Yunj was threatening her and could not help laughing. Yunj, if you don't know how, then forget it. I don't think Miss Yu will blame you. Qin Youjiao's intention to drive a wedge between Bei Yunj and Yu Manran was obvious. Bei Yunj turned her head and looked at the pitiful Yu Manran. The corners of her eyes twitched slightly. Suddenly, Bei Yunj. Cheng Zihuai had an impatient expression as he warned coldly, "Don't embarrass the Qin clan." Cheng Zihuai, there are so many people here. Can't you say something human? Bei Yunj glanced at him lazily and said unhurriedly. Cheng Zihuai's handsome face darkened. Did this woman really think that it was so easy to enter the Hua family? She was actually so arrogant. Bei Yunj ignored him and walked towards the grand piano. She lifted the hem of her silk dress slowly and sat by the piano. 1/3, right? Bei Yunj's red lips curved and her slender legs were crossed under her dress. They were so fair that they were dazzling. Just sitting in front of the piano was a type of charm. Yes. If I can prove it for her, will you apologize to her too? Bei Yunj asked. Of course, but if you can't prove it for her, then apologize to me on behalf of Miss Yu. Qin Youjiao did not hesitate. Even she could not do this condition. Sure. Bei Yunj snorted and her slender fingers slid across the black and white keys. Chapter 205. Does she know what kind of honor Jiao Jiao has received since she was young? Ling Jiwei could not help laughing mockingly. Hearing this, Yu Manran snorted coldly and stared fixedly at Bei Yunj. She had never heard Bei Yunj play the piano, but how could someone who could write such a score play badly? At this thought, Yu Manran's eyes became more and more expectant. After that, under everyone's watchful gazes, Bei Yunji's slender fingers danced. However, from the moment the first key fell, Qin Youjiao's lips twitched and the sarcasm in her eyes was not hidden. She thought that this Bei Yunji had some confidence. However, she did not expect her to play the first key wrong. She had really overestimated her. Miss Yu, the song Yunji played seems to be very different from the one you played just now. Qin Youjiao was very confident in her professional field. Yu Manran furrowed his eyebrows, not quite understanding what was going on with Bei Yunji's song. However, she did not think that Bei Yunji had played it wrong. Did she play it wrong? The style is too different. The people around started to discuss. Yeah, I can't tell what's the same between these two songs. Didn't we agree to repeat the score just now? It's nice, but this is completely different from Miss Yu's song just now. At this moment, Ling Jiwei, who was beside her, also had a mocking expression. She could not help laughing and saying, I really thought that she could play a few notes. I didn't expect her to dare to show off when she doesn't know anything. It sounds nice too. The socialite beside Ling Jiwei said softly. So what if it's nice? Ling Jiwei immediately turned to look at her and laughed coldly. She didn't write this song. I wonder how long she practiced to reach this level. Hearing this, the socialite beside her was speechless. But she had a feeling that this song was a little familiar. At this moment, Yu Hanran stood not far away as he watched Bei Yunji play the piano. A hint of surprise and amazement flashed across his eyes. He thought that Bei Yunji really didn't know anything. He had hidden it too well. This time, Master Du has really picked up a treasure. Yu Hanran chuckled. Soon, the sound of the guqin gradually stopped. Bei Yunji glanced at Qin Youjiao, his lazy voice slightly playful. Miss Qin, isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Hearing this, Qin Youjiao found it ridiculous. Bei Yunji had the courage to ask her to apologize even though she didn't make a single sound right. Bei Yunji, we're not deaf. Do you think you've hit the right note? Qin Youjiao's eyes were filled with sarcasm. Even Cheng Zihuai, who was behind her, looked at Bei Yunji with disdain. Yes. Bei Yunji, don't go back on your word. You should be the one apologizing to Jiao Jiao. Ling Jiwei immediately chimed in. She felt as if she had vented her anger. Suddenly, a voice sounded not far away. She didn't play it wrong. Hearing this, everyone looked at Yu Hanran instinctively, not understanding why he would say this. She used the secondary melody of the music score to adapt it. The first and last parts were played in reverse. The moment Yu Hanran said this, the smile on Qin Youjiao's face froze. The rest of the people were even more stunned. Played in reverse? So not only did this girl play it correctly, she even changed the tune on the spot? Impossible. Ling Jiwei's voice was sharp and ear-piercing. Chapter 206. How was this possible? Even Jiao Jiao said that this score would be very difficult to learn. How could Bei Yunji be able to play it after listening to it once? Not only Ling Jiwei, even Qin Youjiao's expression was exceptionally ugly. She stared at Bei Yunji with dark eyes. Impossible. Back then, when Bei Yunji had just returned to the Qin family, she had deliberately tested Bei Yunji's ability. Not to mention the piano, she was clearly someone who couldn't even understand music. Miss Pei played the entire song. She repeated exactly 1/3 of Man's song. Yu Hanran smirked lightly, but he was even more confused about Bei Yunji. He could barely remember the score just now, but if he wanted to play it as easily as Bei Yunji, he would need at least a week to practice. In the end, this person even changed it on the spot. At this moment, Yu Manran immediately understood. Guer changed it on the spot. Did she think that it was unfair to repeat the score she wrote? At this thought, Yu Manran looked at Bei Yunji with a complicated gaze. However, with Guer changing it like this, it seemed to be a slap to Qin Youjiao and the rest's faces. Although looking at their expressions now, it was really satisfying. Impossible. You must have learned this score secretly long ago. You did it on purpose. Ling Jiwei lost her composure and said sharply, before she pointed at Bei Yunji and Yu Manran. You're friends. You must know Yu Manran's score too. Yu Manran was speechless. How could he not know? She was the one who King wrote this score. Bei Yunj laughed carelessly. There was no guilt in her eyes, but they were bright and charming. Hearing this, a glint flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes. However, in the next moment, before Qin Yojiao and the rest could heave a sigh of relief and were about to ridicule Bei Yunj suddenly played the piano again. Within half a minute, Qin Yojiao's face gradually turned pale and she felt cold all over. F***CK. Isn't this Qin Yojiao's song just now? You can repeat this after just one play? Amazing! Is this the new young lady of the Qin family? How ruthless! Of course. Do you know who raised her? Principal Lin Longjun. Wait, who are you talking about? Lin Longjun. That Dean Lin of Yunqing University? Damn, didn't we agree to go to the orphanage? Yes, the orphanage opened by Director Lin. She was truly the heaven's chosen one. To think that he would encounter Dean Lin Longjun after being left behind. Who could be as lucky as him? I don't think I have the chance to listen to Miss Qin's music score, right? Bei Yunj repeated the score that Qin Yojiao had played just now without missing a single detail. This scene caused goosebumps to rise all over their bodies. Even Qin Yojiao might not be able to do such a thing. In an instant, Qin Yojiao's back was filled with coldness as she stared at Bei Yunj with dark eyes. Only Mrs. Qin and Cheng Zihuai knew about this score. It was impossible for Bei Yunj to know about it. So, Bei Yunj didn't know how to play the piano at all. She had been pretending all this time? Bei Yunj, were you lying to me before? Qin Yojiao stared at Bei Yunj darkly. I thought that Miss Qin wanted me to play it so strongly because you knew that I knew how to play it. Bei Yunj said lazily. Chapter 207. If she did not go along with Bei Yunj's words at this time, everyone would think that she was deliberately making things difficult for Bei Yunj. Qin Yojiao gritted her teeth secretly. After a long time, she took a deep breath and forced a smile. I didn't expect you to be so good at the piano, Yunj. Hearing the discussions of the people around Qin Yojiao and Bei Yunj, Ling Jiwei could not help but speak up for Qin Yojiao. It's not difficult to arrange the music. That score is good to begin with. It won't be bad no matter how you change it. She's just being opportunistic. Then why don't you try being opportunistic? Yu Man-ran, who was beside her, said slowly. Hearing this, Ling Jiwei wanted to say something but stopped herself, her face flushing red. She bit her lip, not daring to really anger Yu Man-ran. Okay, this matter ends here. Cheng Zihuai glanced at Bei Yunj with slightly dark eyes. Indeed, he did not expect Bei Yunj to know how to play the piano, and she was not worse than Jiao Jiao. His tone slowed down. Jiao Jiao didn't mean to make things difficult for you. There's no need to embarrass anyone in public. His meaning was obvious. Cheng Zihuai planned to protect Qin Yojiao and not let her apologize. Hearing this, a smug smile appeared on Qin Yojiao's lips as she glanced at Bei Yunj provocatively. So what if she won? Zihuai was still on her side. Yunj, don't misunderstand Zihuai. Don't be unhappy because of this. Qin Yojiao bit her lip and said. Hearing this, Yu Man-ran was in disbelief. How could there be such a high-level green tea? Then, Yu Man-ran laughed coldly, putting on the airs of a spoiled young lady with ease. I don't know if Gur is happy or not, but I'm not happy. Miss Qin, don't forget. The person you promised to apologize to just now was me. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao's expression froze. Bei Yunj, what do you think of this? Cheng Zihuai suddenly asked. He had been staring at Bei Yunj. This was the first time he had lowered himself to talk to her. If it was in the past, Bei Yunj would have been so happy that she would not care about anything else. I think it's better for you to shut up first. Bei Yunj spoke slowly and Cheng Zihuai's face turned ashen when he heard this. Bei Yunj, you. Bei Yunj did not even look at Cheng Zihuai as he said unhurriedly, President Yu, your sister is being bullied. Aren't you going to do anything about it? Yu Hanran, who was about to watch the show. This girl was really too vicious. She treated others as tools and used them so skillfully. Yu Hanran had no choice but to step forward and walk to Yu Man-ran's side. He glanced at Yu Man-ran. Before Yu Man-ran could feel touched, he sneered. Yu Hanran was still flirtatious. He raised his glass of red wine to Cheng Zihuai and looked a little negligent. He raised his eyebrows and said, A child of the Cheng family? Cheng Zihuai moved his lips but did not speak. This person's aura was a bit similar to the person from the Hua family. Although it was not that oppressive, it still made him feel a little uncomfortable. Yu Hanran's smile did not reach his eyes. Although I don't like to use my status to suppress people, Man is my family's only elder young miss after all. If the Cheng family finds out that you slapped the Yu family's face in public for a little sister, will they be able to sleep? Yu Hanran gave people the feeling that he was a smiling tiger. But he could pounce over and bite someone's throat at any moment. In this venue, only Pei Yunj dared to use Yu Hanran as a tool. At this moment, Cheng Zihuai's face turned red, as if he had been mocked in public. Chapter 208. Seeing this, Qin Youjiao could not help gritting her teeth and glancing at Bei Yunj gloomily. How could she not know that the Yu family was more powerful than the Cheng family? After all, that was an aristocratic family that could even talk to the Hua family. She looked at Cheng Zihuai's handsome face and knew that Cheng Zihuai could not help her anymore. Qin Youjiao gritted her teeth and could only hold it in. I spoke inappropriately about this matter and made Miss Yu unhappy. I'll apologize to Miss Yu here. She looked at Yu Manran. After mentally preparing herself, she took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Miss Yu. I shouldn't have doubted you in public. The different gazes around made Qin Youjiao feel that she had embarrassed herself today. Seeing Qin Youjiao apologize, Cheng Zihuai felt like he had been humiliated in public and looked at Bei Yunj with dark eyes. He could not touch the Yu family. However, Pei Yunj was the one who started all of this. Cheng Zihuai clenched his fists. As long as he entered the AM Computing Institute and developed the Cheng Corporation's information technology industry into the top industry in the country, he would make Bei Yunj regret going against him now sooner or later. At this thought, Cheng Zihuai's expression softened and he pushed Qin Youjiao away. Soon, Yu Hanren walked in front of Bei Yunj and smiled insincerely. Little girl, shouldn't you thank me for helping you so much? Did Qin Youjiao apologize to me? Yu Hanran was speechless. Why does this little girl look like Master Du? I wonder why Master Du likes a little girl like you, Yu Hanran muttered unconsciously. Hearing this, Bei Yunj suddenly remembered something and smiled brightly. Although I know President Yu's usual habits, I still hope that if President Yu doesn't have anything serious to do, it's best if you don't bring your friends out to play. How could Yu Hanran not tell that Bei Yunj was trying to say that he was a playboy? All of a sudden, Yu Hanran knew why Bei Yunj said that. It was because of the time when he and Hua Shidu met their business partner at the clubhouse. Little girl, you've really wronged me this time. That time, I had something to discuss. Otherwise, how capable do you think I am to ask Master Du out? Yu Hanran could not help but laugh. In his heart, he was even more curious about Hua Shidu and Hua Jinyao. Originally, he thought it was the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit, but he didn't expect it to be a little fox. Interesting. After listening to the explanation, Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. She did not expect that she had received the wrong information. I see. Bei Yunj nodded and left after saying a few words. Thank you for your hard work. Yu Hanran. After Bei Yunj left, Yu Manran changed into a pair of lower heels and came back. Where's Gua? Where's Gua? Yu Manran looked excited. Yu Hanran glanced at her. When did you meet her? Just last month. Wasn't it because... Yu Manran was about to say something, but she was worried about Bei Yunj and shut her mouth. She rolled her eyes and left. It's none of your business. Yu Hanran. After watching this big show, everyone thought that today's gossip would be over. However, they did not expect to see Mother Qin, who was wearing a lake blue Chong Sam, appear in front of everyone. Everyone knew that Mother Qin had publicly severed ties with her daughter who had just been found. Chapter 209. The Qin family must have monopolized the gossip business this year. Since the second half of the year, their family has been gossiping non-stop. A baby-faced girl was speechless. Yes, if it were our family, no one would be willing to listen. The baby-faced girl was speechless. Sorry for the interruption. She was not worthy. There were also many guests in the living room. When Mrs. Qin arrived, many rich madams surrounded her. After all, the Qin family's 3 sons and their beloved daughter had always been popular in the circle. Mrs. Qin, you're finally here. Is it only the daughter of the family today? Are the young masters so difficult to invite? A madam joked. It's too difficult to manage the three of them. They rarely come home and have their own opinions, Mrs. Chin said with a smile. That's a blessing. All three of her sons are so outstanding. That's right. Not to mention the three sons, the daughter is also amazing. No one has been able to catch up to our Jiao Jiao since she was young, right? Mrs. Chin did not lose her composure when she heard the flattery around her. She smiled gracefully. Unexpectedly. Suddenly, a madam who had just returned from the garden and was obviously not familiar with the news on the internet said frankly, Mrs. Chin's other daughter is also very good, isn't she? I saw her playing the piano in the garden just now. She's even better than Jiao Jiao. Hearing this, the harmonious atmosphere suddenly froze. One of the madams saw that Mrs. Chin's expression was not very good. She immediately pulled the honest madam and said with a smile, What are you talking about? Jiao Jiao's piano skills are one of the best in the circle. The madams present all thought that this honest madam was deliberately bragging about Bei Yunj to curry favor with Mrs. Chin. However, she should have at least asked around and found out that Mrs. Chin and the new daughter had already broken off their relationship. I'm not joking. The madam, who looked extremely young, continued to speak stubbornly. You didn't see it, but the eldest miss of the Yu family in Jiao Jiao only played the zither once, and she played every single one of them. That's amazing. She's really a genius. These words were like a slap to Mrs. Chin's face. However, this madam still looked at Mrs. Chin with approval. Nurture her well. She'll definitely bring more honor to your family than Jiao Jiao. Mrs. Chin suppressed the displeasure on her face and maintained her composure. That's not my daughter. I only have one daughter, Jiao Jiao. Ah, what did you say? The young madam was stunned. I've severed ties with her. Mrs. Li, please don't mention her to me. Mrs. Chin's tone was distant and cold. She's so pretty and smart. Mrs. Chin, you. Mrs. Li thought it was ridiculous. Who wouldn't want to nurture a famous artist? Is Mother Chin crazy? Done. Mother Chin's face darkened and she sneered. What do you mean by learning how to play after listening to it once? I don't even know what tricks she used. Even the madams beside her were at a loss for words. Even if the relationship was severed, Bei Yunj was still Mrs. Chin's biological daughter. How could he splash dirty water on his own daughter in front of outsiders? Mrs. Chin. Mrs. Li looked at Mrs. Chin's dark face and didn't want to continue being annoying. She could only sigh. That girl was beautiful, had an unbelievably good temperament, and played the piano well. Mrs. Chin didn't know who would be at a disadvantage if she didn't acknowledge such a daughter. Chapter 210. Mrs. Li sighed. In her heart, she still wanted to build a good relationship with Bei Yunj. This girl was born with a noble appearance. If she was her daughter, she could be a vegetarian for a year. Mrs. Chin, can you give me her contact number? Mrs. Li stepped on the tiger's tail. Her expression still sincere. Mrs. Chin's expression darkened and she only said 2 words. Delete it. At this moment, the other madams were afraid that Mrs. Chin would flare up on the spot. Fortunately, Qin Youjiao arrived not long after. Mom, why are you only here now? Qin Youjiao said with a smile. Hearing this, Mrs. Chin immediately turned around and walked to Qin Youjiao's side, saying with heartache, I already said that the injury on your leg hasn't healed yet, but you still insisted on coming over to celebrate old Madame Lu's birthday. I was training overseas for a year and didn't come to see Grandma Lu. I definitely have to come this time. Hearing this, Mrs. Chin's attention was not on these words. Instead, she noticed Qin Youjiao's red eyes. Jiao Jiao, why are your eyes red? Did you cry just now? Changing the topic, Mrs. Chin's expression darkened. It's Bei Yunj, isn't it? Mrs. Chin, what are you talking about? Miss Pei didn't do anything, Mrs. Li said unhappily. Hearing this, the other madams looked at Mrs. Li with admiration. This Mrs. Li was a tough person. Suddenly, Cheng Zihuai said, Auntie Chin, I'm sorry. I didn't take good care of Jiao Jiao. How can I blame you for this? Hearing this, Mrs. Chin's expression softened, but she hated Bei Yunj even more. As long as she came, Jiao Jiao would be in trouble. Jinx. Everyone knew who Mrs. Chin was talking about. At this moment, Qin Youjiao grabbed Mrs. Chin's hand. Mom, it's okay. I've done something to let her down before. Mrs. Chen's expression was terrible as she pursed her lips and remained silent. All of a sudden, "What's wrong with Auntie Chen?" Not far away, someone laughed. Hearing this, the darkness on Mrs. Chen's face disappeared. She went forward to hold the person's hand and said lovingly, "Yunhua, why are you here?" This was the eldest young lady of the Yun family, and the second daughter-in-law that Mrs. Chen wanted to matchmake. For Chen Yu, Yun Nuk was willing to develop in the entertainment industry. Now, she was a popular celebrity in the industry. "I wanted to see Auntie and Sister Jiao Jiao." Yun Nu looked at Chen Yo Jiao in surprise. "Jiao Jiao, what happened to your leg?" "It's nothing. I accidentally fell." Chen Yo Jiao chuckled. Yun Nuo frowned. She had seen the news online too. She didn't know what was wrong with Chen Yu. He was suddenly so good to that new sister. And his relationship with Chen Yo Jiao seemed to have worsened. "Jiao Jiao, what happened between you and your second brother?" Yun Nuo asked gently. "I don't know either. Second brother might have heard something from someone." Chen Yo Jiao lowered her head and gripped her skirt tightly. Mother Chen sneered. "What else could it be?" Someone came back and turned the Chen family upside down. Hearing this, Mrs. Li restrained herself from arguing with Mrs. Chen. She rolled her eyes elegantly and left with her wine glass. This family seemed to be sick in the head. She was such a good daughter, yet he despised her. Yun Nuo glanced at Mrs. Li who had left. She didn't know if she should interfere in the Chen family's matters, although she had always had a good relationship with Chen Yo Jiao. However, this was also to be with Chen Yu. "Sister, the desserts here are not bad." Chen Yo Jiao suddenly took a few macarons for her and revealed the diamond necklace on her wrist intentionally or unintentionally. Chapter 2:11. A dark look flashed past Yun Nuo's eyes. That was the only one Chen Yu had bought at an auction in our nation. Back then, she thought that Chen Yu would give it to her, but she didn't expect him to give it to Chen Yo Jiao. This also showed how much Chen Yu loved his sister. At this thought, Yun Nuo concluded that Bai Yunj was too scheming and caused Chen Yu and Chen Yo Jiao to have a bad relationship. After all, they had been siblings for more than 10 years. At this thought, a smile appeared on Yun Nuo's face. She bent down and said to Chen Yo Jiao, "Jiao Jiao, Sister Yun Nuo will settle this for you. Just have fun." "Sister Yun Nuo you?" Chen Yo Jiao frowned, looking very worried. "I'm from the Yun family. No one will say anything about you. No one can touch me." Hearing this, a strange glint flashed past Chen Yo Jiao's eyes. She did not tell Yun Nuo that Bai Yunj was staying at Hua Shidu's place. Bai Yunj followed the streetlights and strolled around the garden. Half an hour later, she returned to the banquet. At the same time, Yun Nuo waited for about 10 minutes before she saw Bai Yunj. A trace of surprise flashed past her eyes. She had seen Bai Yunj before, but at that time, Bai Yunj gave people the feeling that she was introverted and gloomy, making people feel uncomfortable just by looking at her. However, she never thought that Bai Yunj would completely change her appearance now. "Miss Pai." After Yun Nuo regained her senses, she walked up to Bai Yunj. "What's the matter?" Bai Yunj glanced at her, her tone lazy. She walked to the long table, took some food, and placed it on the plate. "I know that you've never liked Jiao Jiao, but no matter what, Jiao Jiao has lived with her 3 brothers for so many years." Yun Nuo smiled and said, "You can't compare to her." Hearing this, Bai Yunj was not unhappy at all. Instead, she snorted. She glanced at Yun Nuo calmly and raised an eyebrow, looking extremely charming. "I can't compare to her. Why are you still talking to me?" "For a moment." Promise Yun choked on her words, and her face turned red. She didn't expect Bai Yunj to speak like a completely different person. "What did you say to Chen Yu?" Bai Yunj glanced at her indifferently. She remembered that in the original novel, Chen Yu had indeed gotten together with Yun Nuo in the end, so she couldn't be bothered to say anything. She slowly ate the dessert, but when Yun Nuo saw this, her face darkened. She rarely met anyone who gave her such an attitude. Not long after, before Bai Yunj could pick up the steeped oolong tea, Yun Nuo suddenly moved her elbow and bumped into Bai Yunj's hand. She knocked over the oolong tea that Bai Yunj had just picked up. Seeing this, Bai Yunj's expression did not change. Yun Nuo smiled and poured a glass of water for Bai Yunj. "Drink some water. Isn't it good?" A moment later, Bai Yunj took the water from Yun Nuo. At this moment, The smile in Yun Nua's eyes deepened. However, in the next moment, before Yun Nua could say anything, Bei Yunj suddenly raised the glass of water. She calmly met Yun Nua's gaze, her moist red lips curving. In an instant, a steady stream of warm water poured from Yun Nua's head to her tail. It made Yun Nua scream involuntarily. It also attracted everyone's attention. Miss Yun, are you awake? If you're awake, take care of yourself in the future. Bei Yunj's eyes were filled with viciousness. If it was the people around Bei Yunj in her previous life, they would all know that although Bei Yunj liked to eat desserts, she had to have tea to relieve her boredom after the meal. Chapter 2:12. Yun Nua had hit the nail on the head at the right time. Bei Yunj. For the first time, anger surged in Yun Nua's chest. It kept hitting her rationality as she gritted her teeth and stared at Bei Yunj. At this moment, everyone saw that Yun Nua was drenched and standing in front of Bei Yunj in a sorry state. There was also a broken teacup on the ground. It was obvious that this was the prelude to a fight. However, Bei Yunj ignored Yun Nua's presence and walked to the side, drinking her tea slowly. Seeing this, everyone's interest was piqued. Was it that good? However, Yun Nua's expression was distorted. She was so angry that she wanted to raise her hand and teach Bei Yunj a lesson. This thought flashed through Yun Nua's mind. Soon, she really took a step forward and raised her hand. Suddenly, Yun Nua, what do you want to do? The man's deep voice was cold. Instantly, Yun Nua jumped in fright and turned to look at him instinctively. Qin Yu. I was the one who poured water on me first. Yun Nua bit her lip and looked at Qin Yu with red eyes. Qin Yu had never been fierce to her before. Qin Yu pursed his lips and walked to Bei Yunj's side without a word. His voice suddenly became gentle. Are you all right? Bei Yunj's eyelids moved and she saw the nervousness in Qin Yu's eyes. I'm fine. Qin Yu. I was bullied. Are you blind? Yun Nua's usual temper flared up and she shouted angrily. If it was before, no matter how unhappy Qin Yu was, he would only ignore her. However, at this moment, she saw Qin Yu slowly turn around, his eyes cold and distant. Stay away from Guer in the future. Yun Nua's body froze, as if she was filled with coldness. I'm just teaching her for you. I don't really hate her, she explained immediately. Yun Nua was really afraid that Qin Yu would ignore her. Do I need you to teach me? Qin Yu chuckled carelessly, but his tone was sarcastic. At this moment, Yun Nua completely knew why Mrs. Qin and Qin Yojiao hated Bei Yunj so much. What right did she have to make Qin Yu protect her like this? Even if they were biological siblings, they were just strangers who had only met a few times. Qin Yu, didn't you realize that because of her, your relationship with your family is already bad? Qin Yu's arrogant eyes were filled with impatience. Are you done? If you're done, don't ever appear in front of me again. Qin Yu, how long have we known each other? How many times have you met her? Yun Nua, I'll say it again. I don't like you at all. Don't make me say anything more unpleasant. Let's leave some dignity for each other. Qin Yu rarely embarrassed the opposite sex in public. Although he looked cold and arrogant, he respected girls very much. But this time, Yun Nua had touched Qin Yu's reverse scale. Yun Nua looked at Qin Yu. Seeing that he did not care about their relationship at all, she could not help but tear up. She had never suffered such grievances in her entire life. Sister Yun Nua, why are you crying? Suddenly, Qin Yojiao and Cheng Zihuai came over. Qin Yojiao comforted Yun Nua and said softly, second brother won't really ignore you. Sister Yun Nua, it'll be fine in a few days. With that said, a dark look flashed past her eyes. She did not expect Qin Yu to return at this time. She did not expect Qin Yu to not even care about Yun Nua's face. Suddenly. Chapter 2:13. Hearing this, Yun Nua's face, which was already covered in tears, paled instantly. Qin Yojiao's expression also froze and her hand that was wiping Yun Nua's tears froze. A thought appeared in her mind. Was second brother doing this to slap her face? Qin Yu, I was wrong. Can you not be angry? Yun Nua regretted it in her heart, but she hated Bei Yunj even more for being doted on by Qin Yu. Even Qin Yojiao back then had never made her feel so unbalanced. However, at this moment, Yun Nua was even more afraid that Qin Yu would really refuse to appear on the screen with her. If that happened, their CP fans would definitely drop. They would also definitely sense Qin Yu's cold attitude towards her. You should apologize to my sister, not me. Qin Yu snorted, his tone cold. These words made Yun Nuo's face turn red and pale. She was the elder young miss of the Yun family after all. Even if it was Qin Yo Jiao, she couldn't lower her head and apologize, let alone Bei Yunj. Suddenly, there's no need. Bei Yunj said slowly, Miss Yun, you just have to take care of yourself. Yun Nuo gritted her teeth and looked at Bei Yunj angrily. However, when she felt Qin Yu's cold gaze, her expression changed immediately. It's Sister Yun's fault. Sister Yun will apologize to you. Yunj, can you forgive me? Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes relaxed and she looked bright and arrogant. No, Sister Yun. In an instant, the atmosphere was cold and silent. Yun Nuo's expression was distorted. If Qin Yu wasn't beside Bei Yunj, Yun Nuo wanted to rush up and tear Bei Yunj's face apart. Suddenly, desk mate. A low and casual young man's voice rang out. Bei Yunj turned around and saw Lu Yuanci wearing a black t-shirt and flip-flops. His hair was messy and fluffy as he appeared in front of her. The boy was tall and handsome. He didn't look sloppy at all. Instead, he looked lazy and cute. Bei Yunj suddenly remembered. Lu Yuanci, the Lu family. No wonder the teachers in the school treated him like an ancestor. Yuanci, who are you calling? An old lady with a clear voice appeared in front of everyone. Grandma, this is my desk mate. Lu Yuanci glanced at old Madame Lu, then raised his chin towards Bei Yunj. Your desk mate? A woman? Old Madame Lu's heart skipped a beat. When she turned around and saw Bei Yunj clearly, she was even more shocked. Wasn't this the girl she had tried to blackmail last time? Didn't she still have a son and a very handsome and young husband? Bei Yunj, who met the old madame's gaze, was speechless. To think that there was such a fate. You're not that. Bei Yunj interrupted old Madame Lu with a smile. My name is Bei Yunj. I've met old Madame Lu before. This scene confused Qin Yu and the others. They did not know how the two of them had met. Only Lu Yuanci rubbed the back of his head and suddenly remembered something. Last month, he had seen his grandma blackmailing a girl on the streets and wanted to introduce her to him. Suddenly, Lu Yuanci's expression darkened. This old lady had even blackmailed Bei Yunj. Had she gone crazy from missing her granddaughter-in-law? Soon, old Madame Lu roughly understood what was going on, but she was not angry. Instead, she was full of smiles. Yes, we've met before. The two of us are fated to meet. Chapter 214. Hearing this, everyone felt a little strange. What's wrong, old madam? Are you planning to acknowledge a granddaughter on the spot? Lu Yuanci sneered slowly. Old Madame Lu almost couldn't maintain her smile. It was too difficult to get a granddaughter-in-law. This foolish grandson was so disappointing. At this moment, Mrs. Qin and the other madams, who did not know what was going on, walked over. When they saw old Madame Lu, a glint flashed past their eyes. She went forward to hold old Madame Lu's hand and said with a smile, Old madam, it's your birthday banquet today. Why are you outside in the cold wind? Let's go back to the living room quickly. With that said, Mrs. Qin glanced at Bei Yunj. After frowning slightly, she called out gently, Jiao Jiao, come and talk to your Grandma Lu. Okay, then let's go to the living room first. Old Madame Lu smiled. When she saw Qin Yo Jiao sitting in a wheelchair on the way, she frowned unconsciously. Jiao Jiao, what happened to your leg? It's nothing. I accidentally fell downstairs. Don't worry, I didn't hurt my bones. I'll recover in a week. Then you have to be careful in the future. It's not good to have a scar on a girl's leg. Old Madame Lu nodded and reminded her. In the living room. Whose daughter are you? Before Mrs. Qin and old Madame Lu could get close, old Madame Lu looked at Bei Yunj impatiently. It was obvious that she was very interested in Bei Yunj. However, when Mrs. Qin heard this, her expression froze and she glanced coldly at Bei Yunj with disgust. It was as if she was afraid that others would associate her with Bei Yunj. But who knew? Me. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows slowly and chuckled slowly. I live in an orphanage. Old Madame Lu's expression was pitiful. Oh, your parents are dead. Suddenly, Lu Yuanci, who was eating spaghetti, covered his mouth and coughed lightly, choking. Everyone was speechless. What kind of suffocating scene was this? At this moment, old Madame Lu was still chatting enthusiastically with Bei Yunj, but she did not notice how terrible Mrs. Qin's expression was. Until Qin Yu returned from the washroom. Mrs. Qin's expression softened slightly and she said to Qin Youjiao with a coy smile, "Jiao Jiao, did your second brother buy this bracelet for you when he went to country R?" "Yes." A coy expression appeared on Qin Youjiao's face and she could not help but look at Qin Yu again. This bracelet was made purely by hand. There's only one in the world. The lady beside her had a discerning eye. This bracelet is worth at least 20 to 30 million, right? Second young master really dotes on Miss Qin Youjiao. Many people present also noticed Qin Youjiao's last sentence. There was only one in the world. In that case, Qin Yu didn't give it to Bei Yunj and only gave it to Qin Youjiao. Everyone had different thoughts, but they all felt that this little princess who had been doted on by the Qin family for more than 10 years would not fall out of favor so easily. "Yu doesn't come home often, but he's willing to buy things for his sister," Mrs. Qin said with a smile when she realized that she had achieved her goal. Instead of looking at Mrs. Qin, Qin Yu turned his head and chuckled. "Gu-er, why aren't you wearing anything at the banquet?" Bei Yunja's eyebrows moved and she looked at Qin Yu. "You haven't worn what second brother bought for you before." Qin Yu chuckled and took out an exquisite and beautiful necklace from his pocket. Chapter 2:15. Soon. Bei Yunj felt a cool touch in front of her collarbone. After Qin Yu put on the necklace for Bei Yunj, he let go of her hand calmly. Looking at Bei Yunj, his gaze was deep and gentle. "My gu-er is very pretty." Suddenly, someone's knife and fork fell on the table, attracting the attention of many people. F***ck sister, look at that necklace. Is it the Queen of Pozeebi's necklace? The baby-faced girl shook her sister's hand crazily. "You must have seen wrongly." "Of course not. I studied jewelry design for nothing. This is definitely the real deal. I remember that there was a big brand that imitated this necklace and produced a custom-made product. It cost 40 million. The baby-faced girl looked excited. Hearing this, the rest of the people were stunned. Queen of Pozeebi's necklace. He remembered that 10 years ago, the last auction had been sold for more than 98 million. Today, it could only become more and more valuable. Is this very expensive? Bei Yunj furrowed her eyebrows. She remembered that Qin Yu had given the original protagonist this necklace before. However, she did not expect it to be so valuable. "It's all right." Qin Yu smirked. The price of this necklace that Qin Yu had bid for was 160 million. After all, this was a real antique and had collectible value. Qin Yu remembered that he was still filming in Our Nation at that time. Because Qin Youjiao kept quarreling and insisted on getting a bracelet from an auction, he also went to bid for it. But because this bracelet was unique, Qin Yu remembered that he had a new sister at home and he wanted to prepare a gift for her. So, he secretly bid for this Queen of Pozeebi's necklace. After all, this was his first gift for his new sister. At this thought, Qin Yu's gaze on Bei Yunj became gentler. This might be the only thing he had done right in his previous life. When did second brother buy that necklace for Yunj? Qin Youjiao suppressed her emotions, but her eyes were red with jealousy and she felt even more indignant. This should have belonged to her. When Guo returned to the Qin family for the first time, Qin Yu's eyes turned cold calmly and he sneered. Hearing this, not only Qin Youjiao, even Mrs. Qin did not expect Qin Yu to give Bei Yunj such an expensive gift in private. Even for Qin Youjiao, the most expensive thing was the bracelet she was wearing today. In an instant, Qin Youjiao's face paled. She found this hard to believe. Bei Yunj touched the necklace in front of her collarbone, wondering why the original owner of her body didn't sell this thing. At this moment, old Madame Lu tugged at Lu Yuanxi's sleeve and asked curiously, "What's the relationship between Guo and the Qin family?" "Oh, the second lady on your left is the mother of my desk mate." Lu Yuanxi continued to eat his noodles. "I don't want to." Suddenly, the back of Lu Yuanxi's head suffered a palm strike. Old Madame Lu was angry and annoyed. "You rascal! Why didn't you tell me earlier?" This palm almost pressed Lu Yuanxi's head into the ground. "Lu Yuanxi. What did this have to do with her?" Don't poke your nose into other people's business. Lu Yuanxi furrowed his eyebrows. His deskmate was a barrel of explosives that could explode at any time. Was he tired of living if he went up to her now? Old Madame Lu despised and hated him. Is this brat's brain all used on gaming? Don't you have any feelings for Goer? But you're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.